Hey everybody, Future of Powerlifting podcast, and we are doing a recap of Worlds which just happened. And we've got on Joey Flexx. Everybody here probably knows who he is. Coach of
Maybe.
now the strong. I would think so. I would be pretty surprised. Coach of now the strongest male powerlifter ever, as well as the strongest female powerlifter ever. We'll get into all these things. We'll discuss all the weight classes a little bit, and then talk more about some of the interesting battles and storylines. So let's start with, you know what? Let's start with the new strongest woman ever. Let's talk about the 84 pluses.
All right. How do you want to go? You want to go through, I'll just give you guys some backstory. First off, what's up, guys? How's it going? Joey here. So coming into that meet, I knew Sonita was gonna be good for like 310. She posted about how like prep was like really tough. I always had faith. I know how like my tapers work, and I know that sometimes I'm gonna take you to the deep dark depths of fatigue sometimes, and then I'm gonna bring you out of that. And when I bring you out of that, you're gonna be like this. You're gonna have like super strength, right? And during that, when the squat got so fatigued, the lifters, they kind of like their identity is like attached to maybe their total or like one specific lift, right? So if squat is her baby and squat is like tanked, um, it wasn't only that, it was just like there was like some little injuries like here and there. They're like small things, they got fixed very quickly. But it can kind of mess with your mind a little bit. But then when she was supposed to be strong, she was healthy, everything was good. The squat came back up. She hit a good 300 in training, and then that kind of restored her confidence. And then coming into the meet, like just watching her like last warm-ups and then seeing her opener, I was like, yeah, we can literally do the plan. At Sheffield, I think we went like 270, 290, 300.5 or something. For this one, and that was us kind of like figuring out, okay, we're at this new level of strength now. We kind of know where we want to go. And sometimes when a lifter reaches a new level of potential, or like they kind of just have a gap up in training, the first meet that you do like that is like kind of like you're trying to figure out where you're at, right? And then the second meet after that, um, it's not so much of a big change, that you could be more precise and more refined in what your third attempt is going to actually be. Um, so we did that at Sheffield. I mean, even just looking at like a function of time, the amount of time that we trained from Sheffield to this meet, like assuming that certain markers were hit, certain checkpoints were hit, you could kind of predict like, okay, she's gonna make this much strength gain over this much time. So I just said, hey, 310 is like that's the number. Like that's the goal that we should try to hit. I think that's where we should try to end up. Um, and she hits her opener. It was good. Go right to the second attempt. She hits that, and it looks good. And for me, I'm all about like I wanted to go a little safer. I wanted to go 308, or I believe it had to be like three. I think it had to be 308.5 because we were heavier. And if one of the other girls had a chip on bench, I believe our chip wouldn't really matter. So we needed to, well, I guess the girl that would have had the chip would have been heavier than us. So I think 308 would have been fine. But anyway, she wanted to go 311. She was really confident in it. At Sheffield, she took 290 on her second, something like that, and it was like kind of slow. And she was like, I got this, trust me. So I just kind of thought back to that moment and felt like, you know what? We trusted her before with wanting to go that little extra mile, and she did great with it. So, and I mean, she hasn't been wrong on it. So I was like, okay, like sounds good. I mean, she hit it. It was right on the money. It was right on the money. But that three, honestly, I'm just sitting there. There's a side view that I have in my phone. It's like you could kind of see my reaction as it's happening. And like I'm yelling at her, and then she hits it. And then as she's coming up, I'm just going like this is fucking crazy. Like she just kept, she had like three sticky points and she just kept going. And um, there's a lot of good that came from seeing that lift, because it's like, okay, now I know she can super grind. Um, it gives a lot of faith in like I might have a range as to where I want the attempts to go, but if we need to reach a little bit, it's possible. Um, and I mean that basically was like the hammer into the nail to like to solidify the meet. She hit that squat, and now we're up by like a million. So all we have to do is just make attempts. So we lowered the bench opener, and that was something that sort of I was really sort of like, if we get the third squat, we don't need to open so high on bench. So we lowered it a tiny bit, and yeah, everything was chill. She ended with 152 on bench, and then for deadlift, I believe she broke the world record on her opener. And we were thinking, Christoph is her fiance. I don't think they're married yet, but her fiance, and they he was really good about communicating with me, not only all throughout prep, but throughout the day. And just kind of giving me like, scouting information where he thinks like the other girls might end up, and what he thinks that we may need to end at to kind of like win the meet. And this was our first world championship where like we got it right. We don't want to fumble this. So I know people are like, oh, like for Sheffield, she didn't have to take that second. I'm thinking maybe Alexis can pull 280. Maybe maybe Brittany can pull 280 or 282. I don't know. Like you just give them a lot of respect, and you give them a lot of like maybe they're popping off on deadlifts. Who knows what they're gonna show up with on the day. So we said, okay, well, 262, maybe even 260 probably ends it. I thought 255 probably ends it. But I was good with 260 or 262 because we opened 250. I'm not gonna go 250 to 255, right? And then she gets to 262, and then at that point, um, we just jumped another five because when you're that strong, jumping two is like kind of pointless. And we ended up missing it, but it's all good. Everybody else, I think they kind of just went for like placement, but I mean, I knew, and I didn't want to say it in the middle of the meet. I was like, all three of them are probably going to get Sheffield. All three of them are probably, you know, going to get World Games. So, like, if I say that early, maybe there's not as much fight. I know Sonita would keep going, like, she would just go all out, because the world title is like significant. But I didn't want to say that, and there was a sense of like, regardless of what happens, we will have big meets and more opportunities to continue to push forward. But I mean, you know, Brittany really, with what she put us through the last competition, the last two, when that happens, you're kind of like, you're kind of just like, I'm not taking any chances. If we can win, let's win. Because you've been beaten by that person before. So you have this sort of like, I know they're capable. Like your mindset going into it is just completely different. Whereas another one of my lifters who we could talk about after, if you want to go right to Russ, it was very opposite in the way that we sort of approached the meet. So, but finishing off with Sonita, I think what she did was, I mean, it's legendary. It's incredible. It's never before been done. The fact that I can even say a sentence that is like, yeah, I think we can squat 700. I mean, what do you guys think? What was your guys' reaction when you guys
Yeah.
found out that a girl had squatted 311 kg.
So that last statement, like that was literally what I was like waiting to say. I mean, obviously coming in, like this was, in my opinion, this was the class I was looking forward to the most, right? Last year at Worlds, I mean, just look at the arc over the last year. Last year at Worlds, the world record total in this class was like in the 670s. And then last year, it's like everyone knew Bonica was coming in. Sonita had the hype. Her squat was like building like crazy. And then Brittany, people were sleeping on a little bit. I thought
Yeah.
she was going to perform, but people were sleeping. And then a couple weeks before Worlds last year, she had that crazy accident on squat, and people thought she was hurt,
Oh,
and nobody
Sonita.
knew.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so nobody knew what to expect, right? Then we come in, and we get to see. It starts off like great, right? Squats, like I think the world record squat got broken 6 times in that session last year, something like
Yeah.
that. Like Sonita, I think all three of them like took it a bunch of times. It was incredible, right? Then we come to bench. Bench is good also. And then we come to deadlifts, and coming to deadlifts last year, I think all three of them were like within 5 kilos. Like it was a battle. And obviously we know what happened with Bonica, but it ended up being a battle between Sonita and Brittany took it. But Sonita still had a huge PR total, hit over what the old world record had been previously. Then we go to Sheffield, and then we get to see a rematch, Sonita against Brittany again. And again, at this point, again, the hype's on Sonita, right? She had squatted the 300 in training already, and everyone's like, oh my God, like 300 is going to go down. Like 2 years ago, like 600 pounds was like the heaviest squat. I remember at nationals in Daytona a couple of years ago, Bonica and Amanda Martin like went back and forth like 600 and 601, like breaking like the squat record. And now we're literally at the point where it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when Sonita is going to squat 700 pounds. Like that's just insane. Like it's crazy to think about.
I mean, I remember when I came into powerlifting like so long ago, like 11 years ago, you guys weren't even born yet. And like I remember coming in, and I remember how things were back then and what people thought was normal, and just being able to, when I think about the team, right? When I literally think about, I was talking, who was I? I don't know who I was talking to in the audience. Maybe it was Ryan. I don't know who it was, but I was talking about like when I think about Flexx, and I think about like if I had to think about over the years, what do we like? What is something like we're kind of known for? And it's like being the first, 83 to do this, the first 93 to do this, the first person to have this many titles, the first person to break this record. And Sonita is just literally she's doing the thing that I fucking live for. You know what I mean? She's making history with her lifting on the biggest stages, doing things that have never before been done. And that is the type of shit that gets me, fired up. Jesus squatting fucking 1,050, totaling what he totaled, 1152 or whatever it is. It's like, dude, it's honestly, it's one of the joys of my just like my time here in the space, just like being able to be a part of these like amazing performances. I kind of want to know, is it Adriana?
Yes.
Is that how you say her name?
Yes.
What did you think, being a girl, seeing, like, did you think that was possible? Did you know it was coming? Were you like, what the hell is going on right now?
I mean, like, and I'm so glad we have you on as well, because you can give all the insight. Yeah. But it was something that like going in, okay, so Nita's talking about, and she talked about this after too, how like prep just wasn't going her way, or it might have been like her headspace, like having to deal with that bit of an injury you were talking about too. And to see her, I mean, going in, like I had slotted, like just based off what she was saying, like having 270 be hard, 260 in the gym, like, okay, maybe she's coming in third, maybe battling for second. Like, it's just hard to gauge, right? When you don't have that inside knowledge, like you don't know how she's going to show up on the day. And then I actually didn't get to watch this session live, but I was able to.
It was early, I think. It was really early.
Yeah, it was early. And I had just got back from a meet Saturday night. I was like, I'm sleeping in, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was able to like scrub through the YouTube without I didn't go on Instagram, like whatever, just scrub through it. And so I get to watch all of it super fast, essentially. And I'm just seeing Sonita like have a day. Like the 311 is just like, what are we talking about here?
Like, and is that a number? Is that a real number?
Is that
like,
real? And
did I make a mistake?
Right. And it's like, I wanted to go back to a point you had said earlier. You talked about how it's difficult when you've got a lifter, right? And they're doing things that they've never done before. So it's kind of hard to gauge their strength levels on the day, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to like just really emphasize, and we have been, but like not only has like, Sonita herself has never like put 311 on her back, but like this hasn't been done by anyone in history. Like biggest raw squat by a woman in history. Not only that, but her total, like 731, just 5 kilos off of biggest raw total in history by a woman. And that would be, I think,
tested or untested, right?
Yeah, tested or untested, like kind of like nearly
completely different standard for those watching at home. Untested standards are very different not only in the equipment that they use, not only in the supplements they're allowed to take, but like this is you give Sonita a deadlift bar, she's gonna pull like 290.
It's
You know what I mean?
phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And I think like she is getting her flowers, and not only that, but she won best lifter too. With
Yeah, that
Right.
was
that's yeah.
That's
her
yeah.
she got first best lifter. Amanda got the second best lifter, and that
Mhm.
was really cool. Honestly, the girls killed it. Like the
That,
Flexx girls, they fucking smashed it. Like we'll talk about Cranon in a minute, but
yeah,
like
that was nuts. I remember I was listening to the live podcast with Amanda and Carlina like
Little awkward.
oh yeah, yeah.
before Sonita went, and they were and Amanda was talking about like winning best lifter, and at that point, like yeah, I was like, I thought like she's gonna win best lifter because I was
Wait,
looking
what
at
did
like
she
this,
say? What did she say?
she thought she was locking up her third best lifter because
I
the only
mean,
person left to go were the supers,
How did
and
she
like
say it? Wait, how
I
did
mean,
she
I
no,
don't
no,
say
no.
it though?
To be fair, she was saying like potentially like we have to wait for today. Ryan was kind
Yeah.
of the one more so like saying, "Oh, you've won 3 best lifters," and I don't blame
yeah
Ryan because like he's always trying to build the story, right? But it's just it was awkward listening because I didn't get to listen to it until like after all of Worlds was done. But it was a little awkward. Like Ryan's like hyping up Amanda saying you've won 5 world titles, 3 best lifters, and then it's like, ooh, like that.
Well, I
Like
told Amanda. I told
Sonita comes
Amanda.
in. Yeah, and I think of
I
course
said
Amanda was aware.
possible that tomorrow Sonita pops off. So we could do all these things for best lifter, but
We don't know. Like,
we don't
yeah.
like. I'm just saying we hit that 310. It's gonna be
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
pretty chill for her. So
So how does it work? Like I know with the US, like end of the day, you work with like Matt Gary and then he'll put in the attempts. But like for like Belgium, were you able to be the one putting in the attempts?
the Belgium, there was me, Christoph, who I believe was listed as the Belgium head coach, but I know him and we like had a really good, close relationship like coming into the meet, and we worked together last year, and he was really, really good about just like knowing the whole plan. I saw them once early. I they happened to walk in. I was eating with Russ, and they happened to walk into the restaurant we were at. I forget who else was with us, and they sat with us. And when they did that, I was able to go over the whole plan and just go over everything. So like we're all on the same page. Um, there was another helper there from Belgium. I forget her name. But like I was very much involved with, I mean, once they have the plan and these are the targets that we want, all I'm doing now is looking at the strength and making sure that the strength is there. And if the strength is there, we go with the top options. Now the 308, that was just like being safe using the chip. The 311 was like super epic. Um, I don't regret it. And Sonita doesn't regret it, obviously, because we got it. But I think the 308 would have been fine, would have served the same purpose. It's just safety, right? You just want to make sure that you make the lift, because if you don't make the lift, like you're in trouble. If she didn't
Especially a
make the
third
lift,
squat.
in
Like third squat
retrospect,
is like
yeah, you don't want to
adding
miss
to
your
your
third
total.
squat. You don't want to miss your third squat, and typically the third deadlift you don't want to miss. But let's say she misses the 311, I think we probably still could have got it, but it definitely would have been spicier. And maybe if we didn't get it, that forces us to kind of reach on bench, and then maybe we go for a 155, and then if we miss that, like now we're in trouble. So it was like yeah, the attempts is definitely like a collaborative thing, but like I'm just giving them the plan based on everything I saw in training, and I was like right there, and they would have the paper, and I would just say, we're going this much, right? We're going this much, right? Oh, let's go this. Um, but like, yeah, like lowering the bench, like that was very much me just like really kind of being cautious, like trying to pressure everyone. I mean, I'm always gonna want to be safe and make the lifts. Um, they like to be a little bit more, slightly more aggressive, like on deadlift. I don't think we needed to open 250, but at the end of the day, it's what Sonita's comfortable with. If Sonita's comfortable with that, 245, 247, 250 is whatever, right? These are just little nitpicks, like little tiny things that may become valid if it's like extremely close. But I think if things, as long as honestly, personally, as long as the openers are 100%, like we're gonna get that no matter what, we'll figure it out after that. Um, that's really the main thing that I was like I remember I was very much like, I would really like to lower the bench opener because it's Worlds, it's super strict, it's unbelievably strict. You get a red light, you're probably not going to get the lift. Um, I heard an interesting thing being said, which I don't know if you guys noticed. Maybe you guys could tell me. I was told that if it's on Eurosport, if it's one of the sessions that are on TV, that they're less likely to take the lift away because it'll just fuck everything up.
No
I don't know
clue.
if you guys noticed that.
I didn't
I
hear
heard
that.
that, but I wasn't like
Because during
completely.
her session, did any lifts get taken away at all?
See, that actually,
I
it's
don't
a good
think
point
so. I
because
don't
I
think
remember
so.
I remember when I was watching their session, there were multiple deadlifts like by all the ladies that were all
They were
like one
like,
red that I was like, okay, about to get overturned. Like those lifts, those same lifts last year got overturned. Last
yeah.
year in this session, they got overturned. And this time zero of those deadlifts got overturned. So maybe they were told something like
I don't
that.
want
Or maybe they just had a more reasonable jury. They didn't have like there's certain people in the jury.
I don't know. There were some deadlifts that should have been overturned.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of
Yeah.
soft deadlifts that I was like, is that going to pass? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that might be, but I mean, the interesting thing about this is that like coming in, obviously, I didn't know how strong Sonita was. Like we all knew her squat was crazy, but I'm like, is she really going to go past that like 300? I'm like, I don't know about that. And then also, I'm thinking like in my
Blasted
head,
it.
right? So in my head, I'm thinking also like she is like the weakest bencher of the three, right? Bench was a liability. But then I see like she opens and like her bench, like she hit all three benches. She had a little bit more. Like her bench became like it still ended up being the lightest of the three benches, but it was like close enough where she's not really giving up. Like
that
she's
much,
not giving up big, yeah. And then honestly, like from a viewing standpoint, watching the squats, by the time she hit her third squat, I thought the meet was over because like Brittany wasn't having a bad day, but like she squatted less than she did at Sheffield, and she didn't look like she was as strong. Alexis is known to take big jumps and not to do anything in training that like you never see her post anything in training that will like translate to anything, but like she didn't look weak. She still totaled over 700, but like she didn't look like she had that like extra gear that was needed in this battle. And then when you see 311 go down, and then you're just looking at the openers for bench and deadlift. You're like, unless this is just fake, like nobody's catching this. Like even if she hits like 720, even if she had ended with 720, nobody was doing 720 on that day.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean,
and it's not like one person or two of them, like Brittany and Alexis, didn't execute as well. Like you make a good point. It's not like they fumbled the bag and like missed a third squat. Like they all went 9 for 9. It was just that Sonita was just like that much stronger on the day.
Yeah, and I think that's at that level you just have to make all your lifts, and you know, I think Sonita, I would say like some lifters are not very like Cranon doesn't input anything when it comes to her numbers. She's just like kind of lifting and we're calling the numbers, and she's being the lifter, we're being the coaches. Sonita's very aware of like you know, where we're at and like how things are, and what kind of attempt she wants. I don't know if she's looking at the board, but she could tell us. Like usually, I don't know what it is about the supers. I guess because like they're not cutting weight, so like there's less of a big variable to try to kind of navigate on meet day. But like you could, like with the supers, they can kind of tell you like where their strength is going to be at, which definitely, I think, you know, especially when it came to the 311, I was like, hey, if she's confident in something, she knows how much is at stake. She knows she has to make this. I'm gonna listen to that, and I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, you know. And I think it's lifter feedback. It's what we did in training. It's what because Christoph trains with her. It's what he sees, and it's you put all of those things. You know, obviously I see her training as well, but I'm watching it on video because I'm not physically there. You put all of these things together, and you come up with attempts that are very well thought out. And it's like every attempt has like a lot of different inputs to it. It's not just like you're coaching yourself. Let's say you're coaching yourself, you only have yourself to go off of. But now you have all these different other people that are, you know, giving you solid information to pick the best possible number.
I think I'll interject real quick with the squat call. Like you're saying, like she was very confident and like I can go 311. Like very sure of that number. And like, I don't know her personally, obviously I've never spoken to her, but I guess it's just goes to show like how well she knows her body on the day, especially on meet day, because going in, she's like at least posting on Instagram, like not very confident at all, like talking about like the injury. So it's another thing to like shift from right before the meet, like she's saying like, oh, like this prep is like I'm feeling like shit, essentially, like 270s hard, whatever. And then on meet day, she's like has this confidence, like I got 311 in the bag. So it's like, I guess just very contrasting. And I think as a coach, it's like, okay, going in, you weren't like falsely overconfident, right? Like she's like aware of how her body feels. So it's a different level of like trust. Like on the day, you're like, she says she's got 311, like, okay, like load it up. Like she's
that's I think where I can really make a big impact and a difference or played a significant role in everything that's going on is in the moments in training when she feels her worst, when she has the most self-doubt, when she's like starting to lose faith. But I'm looking at the training, I'm looking at everything we've done, I'm looking at the math, and I'm like, it's okay to feel fatigue right now. It's okay to feel beat up. Let's stay the course. I'm like, if I go back and look at our messages, I'm like, you're like, we're gonna win. Like, I'm telling her these things because I truly believe that we're gonna win. And then she does it, and I think I hope she was able to pull from those words to be able to do what she did on the day. I mean, she did it. Like, she literally did it. And I think whenever that happens, I always tell the lifter, like, look back at that prep anytime in the future, anytime you're training in the future. I want you to go back to that prep where you felt your weakest, you didn't have faith in yourself, all of those things. And then look at what happened on meet day. It's just, I think it's a tough thing, but I think it's been something I've been doing for many, many years. And I think if the lifter can sort of gain that confidence through the process, seeing it from beginning to end, not just judging it by the highs and the lows, then that's going to give them confidence. That's going to carry them through their career and lead them into those, legendary numbers. So, I'm just really happy that it was a good like team effort. Christoph doing his part, Sonita doing her part. Obviously I'm there. The other Belgium coach was there helping out as well. And it all came together to put up a legendary performance that, who knows? Obviously, the next person that is most likely to surpass this performance is Sonita herself. I don't think it could have, which actually, now that I think about it, if we didn't take a second deadlift, which I think we still should have, but if we didn't, does Sonita just win Sheffield? Like, does she just literally smoke it? You know what I'm saying? Like, if she puts up like a 745, take off that second deadlift, does she just literally go in there and there's just no girl that can exceed the world record by that amount? I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. And it is interesting how Sheffield, and I'm not saying this like, oh, we should have done that, should have done this. I'm just thinking of different possibilities, and interesting sort of like in hindsight, had this gone this way, how does this play out, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, it was a joy to be a part of that session. I was really happy. At the start of the day, I was like, I really want to win both. I want to win the Supermen and the Superwomen. I really, really want to do that. I know it's going to be a fight, but I'm not going to lie. After what happened to Russ, I was like, the rest of this week, I don't give a shit what's going on. The only thing that matters is the next thing in front of me. And so after Russ, it was Cranon. After Cranon, it was Amanda. After Amanda, it was that. And I was just like, I want to make sure that when this day is done, there was nothing else that could have been done to make sure that Sonita had the day that she has the best day that she can. And she was able to do that. And Jesus was able to lock it in as well. So shout out to Sonita and the Belgium team. I'm looking forward to some more legendary numbers at Sheffield. And that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, that wraps up that class. Obviously that was insane, and we'll get to see this battle I mean, we're locked into 2 more times. They're going to be at Sheffield. They're going to be at World Games.
Yeah.
I guess let's move on to obviously a class that everyone's interested in. We'll move on to the 83. So
Yeah.
I'll just give like a little from how I'm feeling about this. So
Yeah.
the 84 pluses didn't go as I expected because I thought it was going to be like some insane performances, but I thought it would be closer. The 83s, on the other hand, I came into this meet on the 83s. That was not one of the classes I was like hyped to watch, right? Like I came in.
Yeah.
Honestly, on my fantasy thing, I picked Russ as my highest confidence points because like we've seen Jurns training before and he's put up these like 840, 830 training totals. But at the end of the day, at every big meet, it ends up being, it's been close, some of these with like Delaney. Obviously,
What you're saying right now is exactly what I was thinking, like what we were thinking coming in. He's done training that was good. He's competed many times before. He just competed 12 weeks ago, right?
Right.
So I'm looking at all these things. I have the game plan. I didn't mean to cut you off. And and like we literally with Matt Gary, right? Russ is there too. We're going over the numbers. We were thinking we're gonna do 843, and if we need to take another deadlift, then we will. We will. But that was literally what we were thinking coming in, and then obviously you saw what happened. But I'll let you finish.
Yeah, so literally the way I was thinking it was going to play out was exactly like I was thinking Russ was going to take basically those 3 squat attempts. And I'm thinking he's going to get his 3 squats. He's going to bench. I thought he was going to bench 2.5 more, but I thought his bench is going to be like that. And then I thought he's going to hit 843 on the second deadlift. Presumably nobody will be close. And if he needs to, he'll push to like 850 on his third if necessary, just to make sure that nobody could load something. That's what I'm thinking. I didn't think like, I thought the battle really is going to be between Jurns and Enna for second place. And like maybe they'll total like, they'll like hit bests and hit like 830. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, I'm not really excited for this. Fine. I come in, I look at the openers. I'm like, okay, it's a little bit closer than like you'd think, right? Based off the projections. But I'm like, that doesn't really mean much. It's just because Russ is not necessarily pushing unless he needs to. So he's not going to start with heavy openers. He's going to settle with for things. He's going to go 3 for 3 on everything. And he's just going to be in a spot where he's not pushing a Sheffield too much and is just going to take the win. Then squats finish. He gets that third overturned, whatever. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I wasn't there. I was told from people there that it looked similar to the other ones. I don't actually know. But go to bench. Now, Jurns bench is more than we expected. Bench basically the same as Russ, which now that's surprising. But still, I'm like, Russ, I've seen him pull 340 in training like a million times. Like he's even pulled like 350 while heavier. But like, I'm like, Russ is fine. Like he'll pull something in the 340s if need be. But like he already has like a lead on squats. And like in my head, not just in my head, but like on paper, he is the stronger puller. So I'm like, okay, he's ahead and he's the bigger puller. What is there to worry about?
Yeah.
Then Jurns raises his opener. Okay. And then he takes the big jump. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Now it's like, it gets to the point where like going to third dead, it's like what should load for us? And I think it was the correct call. Maybe 2.5 more, but I see a lot of people online. A lot of people were like saying, oh, terrible attempt selection by Matt Gary. You need to load more. I mean, people love like going after calls after it happens, but like I think that was the right call. It's actually the reverse. We had this similar situation last year, and you were on the other end of it with Taylor versus Callie.
I know, and it feels like shit.
It's not right. So last year they did the opposite. I thought Taylor, they should have loaded like 2.5 or 5 less, and that would have pushed Callie to have to like hit something like massive. Instead, they overloaded too much, and then Callie only needed 328 instead of having to like pull like 335 or 337. So here I'm like, this is the right call. Force Jurns to pull something he's never pulled before, and
right?
Load something for us. Yeah, and load something for us that he can hit.
Yeah.
So
let me kind of go through my perspective. So, and Adriana, if you want to, I know we're just going back and forth. We got to include you too.
Yeah, no, you're good. Like essentially, I kind of had the same perspective as Mike, and I think Mike is really like speaking for the crowd here. Like from my view, I'm watching it, and like all the way until maybe Jurns' second deadlift, I'm kind of like, nah, like Russ can lock it up. Like yeah, it's close. Like by I think their opening deadlifts, they're maybe 6 kilos apart or something. I don't remember the exact number, but I'm kind of thinking like literally the exact same as Mike. I'm like you just trust Russ and you trust like your and Matt's attempt selection. And it was just Jurns just had a day, but essentially it was a great moment because, like, not to be like, oh, it's great that Russ lost, but it's like just a good sports moment. Like the underdog comes in, like just fucking has a day on deads and is able to unseat the champ. But that goes to show that, like, I mean, Russ was the champ. Like, no one else has been that dominant since 2019 besides Amanda. Like, literally no one else. So you're watching it, and like, even until the third deadlifts, like even until Durance comes out, I'm thinking like it just doesn't feel possible for like Russ to lose. So I'm literally thinking the exact same thing as Mike. I wasn't there. I was just watching on my TV, but I'm thinking like Russ is just gonna handle it, like just gonna end up winning. Like that's what happens, and then we know how the
Yeah,
story.
I feel bad.
You can give your perspective, of course, because you're gonna have a lot more insight than either of us are.
Hearing you guys talk, I think there's like literally probably tens of thousands of people that feel exactly what you guys feel. And I feel bad as someone who, I'm driving this if Russ is like the vehicle, or he's the player, or he's the Ryan always says like I got the keys, and he's like the Lambo or something, right? Like he's this machine. And obviously, like, I play a really big part in his performances and stuff. And when we don't get the result that people that are counting on us or believing in us think, it feels really bad, like from the human side, like, damn, I let all these people down. And it's just like it's a really terrible feeling, just because so many people had faith in us to come in and handle business. And then when you're not able to do that, it just the only thing, that's why I just said I just like laser focused on Cranon and the rest of the week, because I was just like everybody else, because I was just like, I can't let this happen again. I cannot have another upset like that. And um I think 1000% we underestimated Jurens. I thought exactly everything that you guys thought. I thought 840 is probably like his cap, and that's if everything goes well. Um, Turns out he's probably good for 855 on the day, maybe. Now, had we got that squat, I believe Russ would have actually lifted like 850. Is it 850 or 850.5? If the squat didn't get overturned.
Yeah, it's like 7 kilos more. So yeah, I think 850.5.
850.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so 850.5. Maybe exactly what you said, Mike. We had 340 in, but I already knew that he had 355 based on the squat, because like I've been coaching Russ forever, and once I saw the third squat, I was like, okay, at nationals we hit 340, and I thought that was like kind of close, maybe at 342. I was like, yeah, 355, 335 is gonna be a. You think about like this is where you miss, this is where you make, like, but it's easy, and then you have like the middle. I thought 355 is like, I'm not gonna go 337 unless I have to, although I would rather not. And 340 would have been like, he probably could muscle it, but like we're dealing with this kind of judging, we cannot afford to miss that. So I think 335 is you guys get like the people that are unsure about the attempt selection. Look at the bar when it gets to like his knees, right around his knees. That is all
Exactly.
that matters. It doesn't matter how fast he moves it up. It doesn't matter how fast he locks it out. You got to look at that slow little spot right at his knees. That is where the sticky point comes in, and that is where you could get stuck if you don't know what it looks like. So I think, had we lifted, people are like, oh, Jurgens could have loaded another 7.5, and he would have pulled that. Well, look what happened with the 93s. Emil smoked the shit out of that third and fucking dropped it. I don't think Jurgens has ever pulled 357.5 before. So
I mean, he never pulled more than 335 going in.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's
like
what
you
I'm
don't
saying.
like.
I mean,
like there's
honestly,
always
like,
gonna be like Monday morning. I don't know the fucking saying, but
See,
people like looking back and just criticizing, like, oh, imagine you went you did go 340 and then Russ drops it. And it's like, okay, then there's gonna be criticism either way. And it's like, you made the call that you're sure he's gonna hit. And it's like, that's all you can do.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you end up in a situation. Like I remember vividly watching 2 years ago when Keiko when they loaded I think it was 350 for his third, and I was thinking in my head like load 345, and there they loaded
We
more.
were trying to change it. I was
I
trying.
know. I was
Yeah.
actually like 10 feet away from you because we were both in Vegas by Mega
Oh yeah,
Nats.
I was literally
And
on the phone.
I'm watching
like,
it. I know. I'm literally watching on my phone at Mega Nats and like just like screaming like at my phone. Oh my god! But then like it always happens. Like you have to load. Obviously, the disadvantage of not being the bigger puller is you have to load a number that you have a high confidence in. You're not loading a number that's a 50-50 because if you miss, then the other lifter takes something that basically is in 100%, right? If Russ overloads and misses, it's done. Jones is not missing whatever he would have needed.
I think he only needed, I think it was like 340.
Yeah, like he's not missing that. So you have to take the number that you think like your lifter is like 85%, whatever to hit, and force the other lifter to take a 50-50 shot. That's what you have to do.
Anything can happen. They can drop it. They might not have the strength. Something might happen. You never know. And you just have to, the 335, I mean, I don't regret it. In hindsight, maybe 337 and we don't get that squat overturned. We force Jones to pull like 360. And if you jump from 335 to 360 and you make it, I will gladly extend my hand and shake. I mean, I did. I gave him props. I was like, bro, you fucking came out of nowhere. I tell people we got caught. Like we just got caught with our pants down. Like we weren't ready. The mentality coming in was that we only needed a 340 or a 843 to 850 performance. And that's what we showed up with. Had we known, had Delaney been here, had there been somebody, or Jones, let's say Jones put up 840 at his last meet, or that other guy, Aid or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Ade.
Yeah, that guy, had he shown up, I would have been like, okay, we need to be here a week ahead of time, not a day ahead of time. We need to like make sure. I would have changed his nutritionist. I changed his nutritionist. We didn't actually use one for the last one. We just I do the recomp with him in person, but he just like made the weight on his own, and we always just do the sauna, right? Because that's what works well for us, and it allows him to stay as big as possible. And he's already shown he is like really fucking strong. If he doesn't cut weight, and he's like 195, he's like stupid strong, like just 771 squat, like he benched like 450 something, big deadlift 780 something, and so I wouldn't have changed certain things, and the whole mindset towards this day would have been completely different had we known that we were going to be in for a fight. Now there were some inklings of him hitting some good numbers in training about a month out. But like you said, he's done that before. He's had good training before. He's already shown, great stuff, and then just not materialized it on the day. And we thought we were going to get the same old Jurens, and he was going to do the same thing. He's 36 years old. There wasn't any reason to think that we would need to go all out and push it that hard. I don't know, I'm not there sitting there on the phone with Russ telling him, hey, you need to book your flight at this time, because again, the mindset is we're just going to come and hit the 850 and dip out, or 843 would dip out. And I think what really, really, really messed us up was when we changed the nutritionist. The weight cut that we got was very intricate, and it required a lot of attention to detail and just a lot of non-orthodox foods. And because his flight got messed up, he was supposed to get there, I believe when I got there Saturday night, but he only got there Sunday night. Then we only have Monday to rest, and then we have to lift Tuesday.
Was it just like flight like cancellation?
Like he showed up to the airport, and then he gets to the thing, and they're like, sorry, we don't have any room. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
Shit. Okay.
So then he has to go home. And obviously that's going to fuck your mood up. Your whole day is like screwed up now. And then he has to pack everything and go back the next day, show up the next day. The food that he's eating is like it's not the weight cut protocol. He can't bring that many liquids with him. What are you going to get in the airport, right? You're not going to find like,
you just fill up your water bottle. Like that's it.
Yeah.
It's nearly impossible too on a flight that's like you're going
That long.
over the Atlantic
Yeah.
Ocean, like, I don't know, like 10 hours, something like that. Like,
Yeah, for him it's
crazy
probably
long
like
time.
9 or 10 hours. So
Yeah.
that was all messed up. He's like lighter when he gets here. He's not eating the same. And then I go with him to the store. We buy all the things that he needs to make weight, and literally all every single macro is bought at that moment from the grocery store. And once he gets there, we basically have one day of doing the weight cut properly. Um, and then at weigh-ins, after he made weight, I mean, like he looked small. He looked way smaller
Yeah.
than he did at nationals. At nationals, he looked like huge. He looked like super solid, like a fucking brick house, you know? And then after the weight cut, I knew I was just like, we're probably going to be like a little bit off. He said the recomp felt really good. I was there to help him with that. Last meet we did the cut was fine, but we didn't recomp right because he had like Chinese food and then he had like a Gatorade and like that was it. That's not supposed to how you're supposed to do
At
it.
Nats?
Yeah, at Nats.
Okay.
I had another lifter at that session, so I wasn't like on him. I wasn't like on him as much.
Yeah,
And for
because
this one,
he was fine. Like
yeah,
he would
yeah,
have
yeah.
won. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And for this
Or that's
one,
what you think.
yeah, for this one, had we done the cut from nationals, but the recomp from worlds, I think he would have been stronger, like maybe 5 keys on everything else, like literally 5 keys on every lift, and then that would have been enough. We would have like skirted by, and I would have been like, "Holy shit, that was way closer than I wanted." But I do agree that because we lost, it's probably better for the sport for this to happen that way because now we have like the big rematch at Sheffield and like if Russ gets it back, when Russ gets it back, that's going to be
A
like
moment.
fucking it's going to be crazy. If Keiko gets wild carded in and Russ and Keiko both win, I'm going to jump off the stage. That'll be like the greatest shit ever. But anyway, that was it. It was simple as that. We underestimated him. We underestimated Durance. We actually brought the package that we thought we needed to bring, and that allowed us because we didn't think we needed more. We didn't do the things. I wouldn't have changed the nutritionist. He would have got there a week ahead of time. But we were saying it's good that this happened because it's forcing us to make the changes necessary to push Russ into a performance that we would have moved up to 93. Maybe Russ did like an 860 at Sheffield, wins Sheffield, and then he wins that, and then he moves up to 93 after. But now we're shooting for way more. And I actually had Russ at Nationals good for way more than what he actually put up. It's just a matter of manifesting that total and making sure everything's perfect. We need to do like an Evie Corrigan cut. We need to cut like 1,000,000 pounds, lose 0 strength, and put that on the platform. Because if we can do that, Russ can safely leave this weight class saying, "I put a big giant hole in it. I pushed this shit to a whole new level." And I think he's capable of that. I know he's capable of that. We just have to do it. We have not had a meet where we've been like, we did everything right. We haven't done that yet. And what's crazy is he's hitting these great performances and we still haven't done that yet. So even for Korea, everything was wrong. Like everything was wrong. We were shopping the day before, we were walking, we were exploring, we were doing everything that we weren't supposed to be doing. And he was still able to put up 880 freaking 5. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, holy shit. So, I know he can do it. We're going to do it. We're doing things not only with the weight cut and the recomp, but we're doing things like in training now that we used to do in the past, but we kind of got away from that, I guess, because when you win so much, you kind of subconsciously get loose with things. And I trust Russ a lot. I've been working with him for a long time. So like I'm not babying him like I am like with Cranon. I'm literally telling her every single weight, every single heavy session, every single primary day. You know what I mean? Which is like very different from because she's so new, she's literally just like so new compared to Russ, who's like he's 5-time national champion, multiple world champion. So you know, it's caused us to react in a way that is going to be better for Russ overall in the future. And I will say that this meet was not like, dang, man, we gave you our best shot and you still won. Holy shit. It was not that at all. It was not that at all. So for those of you that have faith in Russ, continue to have faith in Russ. Trust me. If we get, I believe, and you can take this statement to the bank, if Russ truly gives his 100%, 110%, he locks in and he throws his best punch. I don't think there's anybody that is existing right now in powerlifting that can take it. I don't think there is. Now in 7 months, fucking Jerns, what if Jerns does 900? Holy shit, brother. You got it, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then again,
but you got to do all you can.
Russ might be able to do that.
Right.
He might be able to do that. Bro, if we put up like
sets up the story better, honestly.
If we put up an 880 and we still lose, hey,
congrats.
Like, what else are you supposed to do? We pushed this shit to another dimension and you still got it. So, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's good. It's good. It's a little chin check. You know what I mean? It's a little chin check. So we'll lock in and we'll bring the final form, Russ, in about 6 months.
So my question would be, what does this do for like Russ's timetable? Because everybody's been talking for like basically 2 years now. It's like Russ got to come back to the IPF. He's going to take another 83 kilo title, and then after that, maybe he can make the move to 93. Now, even if he comes to Sheffield and blows the record out of the water, beats Jerns, but if he doesn't end with that last 83 title, does that mean he's coming back another year at 83? At least one more?
We briefly talked about it, and I think a lot of it hinges on what happens at Sheffield. If we go crazy at Sheffield and we feel like, hey man, we emptied the tank, we don't really have much else. Maybe he might like skip Worlds and just go World Games. Or maybe we handle business at Sheffield, go ham at Worlds, get the third title back, and then at World Games we just kind of do whatever. Like we're dead at that point. Our bodies are fucking zapped, and like, you know, maybe the formula's too hard to overcome with Perkins, and we just kind of take safe lifts and experience the World Games. That is a potential option. I think that option actually gives him more because it locks in Sheffield again. It gives him the third title again. But at the end of the day, it really just depends. Maybe we have a performance at Sheffield where we know, like, there's still a little bit more in this weight class. And another thing you have to look at too, for the US, Russ is going to go to Sheffield. He's going to have the total that he has there. It's got to be disgusting, right? Delaney, Joe Bornstein, maybe Noriega, maybe the other guys. We don't know. Russ's total is going to be a static number. We're not actually going to get to go head up or anything. And then all of those guys are going to full send it on the third deadlift and try to hit it. If that happens, kind of like with Keiko, we never even got a chance to fight it. Then we're not going to Worlds, and then we just go to World Games, you know, and then we just move up to 93 after that. So the decision will kind of be made for us if that's the case. I'm assuming that's how it's going to work out. If Powerlifting America forces the Sheffield people to have to do nationals, that's like fucked up because, bro, like no one's going to do it. You know, I'm not going to have Jesus and Amanda have to send it. If Ray Williams, honestly, I would see that as like a huge slap in the face, because if Ray Williams is competing and Jesus actually has to push twice in such a short amount of time, we're fucked. Like that's, I mean, Jesus could probably still do it, but like we're playing with fire now. And then, well, we're going to push it for Worlds against Timur. We're going to get caught eventually. You're asking us to be at 100% so fucking frequently. And what is that doing?
It's too much. And like some people would argue like, oh, why don't you just show up and fight like Gavin did? But it's like, you can't.
Look what happened. Miss
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah, exactly. And like
It's a lot.
you've got these lifters like pushing like unthinkable weights, like Russ, Jesus, Amanda. Like you can't, like you just realistically can't have them show up, what, 4 or 5 weeks after. It just screws them, like 4 or 5
Yeah,
weeks after
I'm actually,
Sheffield.
when we get off of this, I'm actually gonna message PA and just let them know, like, I just want to reiterate that if the Sheffield people have to do Nats, that is kind of messed up because we're getting so competitive on the US side now where it's kind of like you either do Sheffield or you just fucking miss everything, right? You just miss all of it. Like you miss nationals, you miss worlds, you don't go to the next Sheffield. It's like you lose everything because of that tough schedule. So I hope that answers your question a little bit. Ideally, I mean, we go in and we fucking annihilate Sheffield and nobody can beat the total, and then he still goes to Worlds and then Sheffield as well. So it's like, I
It's
mean, the US
difficult
is
from
just
like, go on, go on.
no, it's the US is getting like tougher and tougher and tougher too. So like we have
Especially with
three
everyone
ninety
crossing
threes.
over.
We have 393s where um any of them could do good at Worlds. So it's like, now obviously any of them hearing that, they're gonna want to change that. I know Keiko's fired up to hit into the 900s. I was actually doing the math the other day. If Jesse Norris was here, and I only had us total at like 900 or like 910. So like those are normal. That's like the range of where we're at now, and it's so crazy how he was above his time, and now like the rest of the universe like kind of caught up a little bit. So, and we'll see. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. I
I
don't know how
guess
you
it's
guys
just
feel.
I guess it's just like if we're having this conversation, it's just difficult from both sides. Cause like I said, like for you as a coach and for Russ, for Jesus as lifters, it's like, okay, it's gonna be like, yeah, you could try to have back-to-back preps, but that second prep into Nats isn't, like, it's not shit. Like 5 weeks.
Well,
Like,
also, and this is even more props to Jurens. We kind of like training wise went ham into Nats.
mm-hmm.
That was a big mental dump, right? We just put everything into that meet. And then to have to do it again in,
It's tough.
11 weeks, it's like, fuck, So it's
Yeah,
at
and
the end of
Russ
the
even
day,
talked about how like the turnaround was like difficult to like push
diet,
twice like that. And especially, yeah, he's close. He has to diet
I
into
mean,
the class too.
the
So
dieting twice is like annoying.
yeah.
Jurns just did it. Jurns just totaled 850 yesterday.
Yeah,
I
but
know,
Self
but
he
motivated.
weighed like 89.
yeah, I mean,
Oh,
if you
really?
peak, yeah, if you peak again for me, if you peak for me, you're gonna maintain it a little bit. Also, when you're
Mm-hmm.
at a meet and it's hyped and you're not cutting, like, yeah, I mean, I still thought he looked stronger at nationals after, or sorry, at Worlds after the cut. But I mean, at the end of the day, we always have to go over there. Please, one time, come over here, please. Let's see you guys do all that.
Yeah.
Just do it once. Yeah, they say it's easy. They say they could do it. Come do it. Come just one time. I just want to see what happens. Come over
We
here. I just want to see it once. You know what I'm saying?
we need a world's back in
That's all.
Calgary.
That's all I'm saying. I swear to God, when we have worlds in the U.S., I'm gonna be like, dear U.S. fans,
Oh, the crowd will
every
be
single
crazy
time,
too. Like,
every single time we go over there, it is always the world against the U.S. It is always everybody cheers for them and they kind of cheer for us, right? Can we please blow the roof off of this place and let people know this is what it's like over in the US? We need to come together, put our differences aside, and be like, yo, you're in our house now, and we are going to blast this shit to another dimension. And they come over here and they do the cuts and everything, then good for them. Hey, I believe Evie Corrigan could do it. She's done it multiple times. They're in Australia. It doesn't matter where it is. It's always going to be fucked wherever they go. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know, man. I just kind of wish it's just less variables to have to worry about. But at the end of the day, excuses, right? We just got to be better. We need to bring our best, and we're going to do that. And I'm excited to see what a fully powered, fully locked in Russ does. And historically, Russ's best performances have come when like everything is against him. 2018, we lost to Gibbs. He came back, he wins. 2019, that Nationals, or maybe 2020, Candido changes his profile picture to Sean is going to beat Russ. That is his profile picture.
Yeah.
Russ takes that personally and is like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? And goes crazy at that Nationals, right? So he has historically shown that he is his most dangerous when his back is against the wall. And I don't think there could have been a more significant moment for him to feel that way than this. In addition, the amount of why is this such a big thing, right? Why is this such a big emotion? Why is this such a big, there's a lot of lifters that probably, they won and then they got second or whatever, right? Why is this such a big deal for Russ? Because everybody expects him to win. That is the standard that he's held to. Everybody has faith in Russ. You know what I'm saying? To handle business. And that's why it was such an unbelievable thing that like, oh shit, like it is possible. People forget like he's human. He can lose. Like anything can happen. We don't, and we've built a lot of faith and trust over the years, but it just goes to show in sports, usually in powerlifting, it's not like this, right? Because it's not like football where like I could literally stop you, or I could physically get in your way. And in this sport, it's kind of like you need to do your thing, they need to do their thing, and who could do it the best. So the fact that there was a little bit of an upset or some I mean, if you look at the biggest moments in powerlifting, it's always unexpected things. It's never like oh, we thought this person was going to win and they won and that was a big moment. No, it's Callie beating Taylor. It's, Jurgens beating Russ. It's stuff like that. And it's
There's
having
always,
done
I
it,
feel like at Worlds, there's always at least one, like, at least in the
crazy
past
thing,
few
right?
years, like crazy upset. Yeah.
What did you guys think about the 93s? Like, who did you guys have coming in first, second, third?
So actually, that was that. I mean, I had Emil winning. Like I had just been watching his training, and he just looks so damn strong.
Strong, yeah.
And he was. I mean, throughout the day, he was in control of that entire competition. He comes out there, 3 good squats, 3 benches, took a small jump second to third, but like deadlifts comes out, opens with like something way over what he's opened. The opener, great. Second attempt, great. I'm like, he's like, I think he was 7.5 ahead after the second, and he had so much more. I'm like, okay, he's gonna load for the third, put it out of reach, like hit like 905 or something, and then he just misses that third. And now it's like, oh wow, game on. So I expected him to win. I mean, I was looking at Petrie's training, but like honestly, he hadn't really
Post
shown
anything,
anything.
bro.
Right. Same thing. I'm saying, same coming to national also. Both these times he hadn't really posted anything that would make you think that he's done anything more than what he's capable. So I thought Petrie is probably in that same range.
Do you know how old they are?
I think Petrie's
Gustavo
Petrie. I think Petrie's like 29, maybe. I'm not sure about.
Yeah, 28,
Gustavo
29. Oh wait,
Okay.
I guess before we fully move on to the 93s, like we talked about Russ a lot, of course, because like his coach is here and it's a big discussion. Like Russ lost. Like
shout out to Ina. Shout out to Ina.
Yeah. I want to give like props to Ina loading up the big deadlift, having that troll moment, the second, hella funny. And then shout out to Jurgens, obviously. Like he just had like
honestly,
a day, like putting on more than like 20 kilos on his total. Like
can you tell me about the troll moment?
Right, because he just essentially he had a big opener, 367.5, and it moves fine, but it's like, damn, that's a big opener, right? Comes out to 388, and that's the world record. And we're kind of thinking like, oh, is he actually gonna take this? Like, this is like he walks out to it, right? He like walks out all the way up to the bar, and then he just kind of like walks up to the bar, like grabs the bar, and he's like, nah, like he essentially like tells the audience like, I'm not pulling it. And then Ryan's on commentary kind of like, what's going on? Like, is he hurt? And then he has the moment realization like, oh, he locked up third with his opener. It's just gonna go
He's
all
saving the
in.
juice.
Yeah, it's going all in on his
He
third
wanted to
attempt.
do that so bad. Will, he's a coach that works for Flexx.
Yeah, of course.
We were like,
you gotta convince.
Ina, we want you to open lighter because we just wanted to go, you know.
And I think he said too, that was like 2.5 more than he pulled in training, like the 367.5.
Yeah, so it was really scary from our perspective, like, you know what I mean? But he got it, and then I think he just really had this moment all planned out, and he just really wanted to do it, and
it was. I mean, it was funny, and like, imagine if like he got it off the ground, like it wasn't like super close, like that one year with Delaney, but he did get it off the ground, and like, oh, imagine, like it was like,
bro, if he pulls that, fuck, man, I don't even know, brother.
Like
that would have been
like no hate to Jurgens because it's like Jurgens winning was like a crazy moment, but like if it ended with like Anna pulling that off, like it would have made his class like
well, Jurgens kind of gets screwed over.
Yeah,
because it's like, well, I'm focusing on Russ. I'm not really worried about what Ina's gonna do. But if Ina's strong enough to pull,
like Ina's just like
what is Jurgens gonna do? Pull 357 and just hope that Ina can't reach it? No, I mean, you just get screwed over by the big deadlifter because you don't really know what you're going against. So I mean, at the end of the day, like,
yeah, just wanted to like
crazy.
give a shout out to like all three of them, like probably. I mean, we'll get to other classes, like we're about to go into the 93s, but like probably the class of Worlds, just because there was so much weight behind. It was a sports moment behind Russ and yeah.
So
93.
So then you're getting into Gustav.
Oh yeah, so I was checked right. Either way, I checked. They're all like 27, 28, 29. They're all in that same range.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, they're all veterans, but like none of them are even in
I thought
30s.
Gustav was probably the guy to beat because he has done it at this stage before. Or like I've gone against him so many times and I just know like he has that big deadlift. I'm not sure what his maximum is. He could pull his opener slow and then shift to another gear and then pull his second faster and shift to another gear and smoke his third. So it's like, also his bench was easy as shit. That third bench was like fucking easy. And I was like, dude, what is this guy capable of? So I know he didn't get it, but I don't know. I mean, one thing with Petrie that I was kind of like this is gonna be risky. I didn't know if he could pull. Was his second 357?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he could pull 357, and then what did he try after that? 350, 65.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he could do that twice, like back to back.
It's tough.
Because at nationals he didn't do that. He just did opener and full sent it to the big one.
Yeah.
So it's possible that if he needed 365, I mean, there's no way to know. And there's not really anything you do different. I mean, Matt was saying like, man, maybe we should have gone a little bit less on the second, and then we could have gone a little bit more on the third. But there's no way to really know. And I mean, in retrospect, it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Petrie would have just like gone 365 on the second, or I don't know, just take 2 attempts. But I mean, he almost had it. He had the strength to do it. I think it was strength, right, or grip. I'm not sure.
I mean,
I think it was like combination.
He got it up
but more
mostly,
so
but it wasn't grip. Yeah, he was a little bit
because he's got that hard lockout. Like it's always going to be like relatively easy off the ground.
Yeah, and I think the Swedish coaches were probably like, we don't think Petrie has that. We're gonna do this with Gustav, and if Petrie pulls over us, like, good job. And I understand that, and sometimes you just have to, that's a benefit to Petrie is if people are gonna think of him like that, then he's gonna be like, all right, let me just lock in that third pull, and when people keep giving me these opportunities, I'm gonna take them. You know what I mean? So
the one thing I would say is I've noticed this a lot. You lose the having the last pull is a huge advantage.
It's like fucking everything. Yeah.
Right. But you lose that advantage when you take an extremely heavy second, because then the opposition can be like, he doesn't have 10 more or something like that. If you take like a reasonable second, like let's say you're taking something more instead of like 357, something like 350, where like it just moves quickly, Then the ops
They don't
are
know.
like, I
They don't know.
have no idea. Yeah, then it's like we gotta guess. But when you start showing your cards and showing something that's already like pretty tough,
I'm actually gonna write that down. That's a really good point.
So yeah, that's the interesting thing with a lot of these. I watch it a lot of times with these big deadlifters. So sometimes you're forced to do that, right? Like happens to be in this case, he was already locked into third because of Carlos Peterson Griffith like got hurt a little bit. But like if he doesn't get hurt, he needs that second pull just to stay in the top three. So
People were saying that if Carlos, by the way, he had a weight cut on the plane. He got to the meet a couple hours before the meet. That guy's fucking crazy. Shout out to Carlos.
Yeah.
They're saying if Carlos was on point, then he was just gonna run away with it. But I'm not sure what numbers he would have needed to hit to just.
I mean, if he had gotten
blast
the
it.
370, that would have put him at 885. So I don't exactly. Yeah, I don't exactly remember. And he would have actually like need another 12 and a half because he weighed in at 93.0.
Right. He was the limit.
I don't remember exactly what he was pulling in training.
So he doubled that 370 in training. He
in
training. Yeah, and his squat was also like extremely strong. Like keep in mind, not only did he weigh in at 93, he weighed in at 93 with like a minute left to weigh in. So he weighed in at 93 with no time to recomp and still squatted the world record. So I can't say for sure like if everything went well that he would have smoked them, but like he definitely took it the hardest.
Girls
like
go first, so he has 30 minutes plus the girls plus his flight, so he has a good amount. He has some time. Obviously, 2 hours is better. Obviously, 2 hours is better. Yeah.
And it was like if you guys like shout out the live White Lights Media podcast, like those were great. I haven't finished the 93s, but I started listening to it, and he kind of goes through like fucking insane story. Like he has some issues, lands there
visa
issues, lands there 7 hours before, essentially has to like just start cutting because he's at that point he's weighing like 96 or something.
Gotta start running.
Yeah. And he tells the story. It's like I won't spoil all of it, but like, or whatever, maybe I will. He tells the story of like just this insane weight cut that he has to do on the day because like I mean essentially it was like how you said Russ had gotten there late and only had a day, but just a lot more extreme. Like
literally like on the day.
Yeah, has to like cut. He said he's so funny. Like he said on the plane he had like 6 cups of coffee, nothing else, like no food, no nothing. And like I mean he has to go through this weight cut on the day, right? He weighs in like a couple times, and I think he had like 14 minutes left, and he weighs in at 93.1. So he has to go outside and just like run around essentially. And he's already done like hours of sauna, and then just barely makes it, comes out, squats a world record. And it's kind of funny because it's like, okay, now in hindsight, it just didn't end up working out. Like his bench was lower, like you said, his deadlift, he had the hamstring thing, only ended up with 860. And I don't remember what he did at Sheffield, but I think it was a bit more than that, maybe around 870 range. But in the moment, I'm watching this meet and I'm like, this is a crazy story. If he can like, because he was on point for squats, right? Like he squatted the world record. And I'm watching this and I'm like, if he ends up winning, like if his bench and deadlift are on point, like that would be a crazy story. But like it doesn't end up happening.
I would not,
like insane.
I would not want to be out Pete right now because you have such a hard decision with who you bring to Sheffield. Like,
of course,
there's so many tough things to think about and pick, and it's just. I mean, all those guys are good.
Yeah, and I mean for Carlos, it's kind of a shame too because I believe the number to beat was 868 in the total to lock up the Sheffield qualification for the regional spot, which ended up going to Tim. And it's no hate to Tim, but it's like Carlos just ended up taking like a super big jump.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
He could have locked it. Like we're not saying like, oh, he certainly would have had that on his second attempt because I think he was, he talked about how his hamstring started cramping up even during bench press warm-ups. So he was kind of feeling that, but like he would have had to take a lot smaller jump to lock that up. I think like 10 kilos or so instead of what, 25. So I wondered if like they knew that at the time, or they were just like going all in, like let's just go 370. But it is like hats off to Tim because he got that spot, but it is a little bit of a shame to see like, oh, Carlos potentially could have locked that up and returned to Sheffield and just didn't. And then
Yeah,
of
that would have
course
been.
we know how it ended with like his hamstring, and like hopefully he's okay. He can make a good recovery.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think he'll bounce back.
the 93s just stay like the class that is just going to be great to watch. No matter who you put out there, there's just so many 93s in this range. Like if there was like a 93 invitational meet that like all that, like we got these four that competed here. We got Keiko, we got Gavin. Don't forget what's his name, which is moving over. He just broke Jesse's record. Jawan.
Yeah, we need to see how he does on a world stage.
Yeah,
After
so Jawan.
Imagine Chance comes back.
Well, now he went off the weight cut because
Russ moving up.
Jawan just did that at 90. Right, Russ going up for this meet.
Dude,
Jamar with his 800-pound squat. Like,
yeah,
I would love to just see like
all of them
put on like a 93 kilo meet.
That's
like,
gonna be the class to watch for sure.
So like, yeah, I mean, this class is amazing. No matter who's in it, like, there's nobody that's like has that kind of lead where they're going to be a big favorite. Like, no matter which
everybody has to fight.
People, yeah, it's just you're going to have to execute. You're going to have to show up. You're going to have a good weight cut. You're going to have to make probably 9 attempts for sure 8. Like, you can't mess up. Like you saw here, the person. I mean, Emil was ahead the entire time. Was coasting. Missed 1 attempt. It's done. Like. That's where we're at this point. With like a lot of weight classes are like this, but like the 93s is definitely the class where we have the most people that are in the same range. Like we have other classes that have like great battles and 2 people at the top or whatever, but there's no class where there's legitimately probably 6 people in the world who are all capable of like within 5 kilos of the exact same thing. So
yeah. I mean, it's just I was saying it's just gonna get harder and harder. There's gonna be. It's going to literally be like flip-flopping between people eventually, probably like normal sports, right? Like the Patriots are going to get to the fucking Super Bowl, but we don't know if they're going to fucking win every time. You know what I mean? Or the Chiefs are going to get to the Super Bowl, but you know, they may not win it every time. So it's like every year it's just going to be tough. So, I think we could jump over back to the girls and we could go like Cranon, Jesus, Amanda, Skim.
Wait. Oh, so actually, what I wanted to do is before we go to Amanda, I wanted to talk about the 76s because that.
I don't know if you heard me. I was like, we should go Cranon.
Right. So let's talk the 76s, yeah, and then this will lead. So the 76s, first off, like this was a fun class to watch. I mean, obviously, this is Cranon's first time international, and like she just, I mean. What did she do at Nats? Like 565 or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, a lot of people. It's so funny. Like, people always make like, there's got to be like a reason for the gains, right? Like people are like, oh, it's like noob gains or this and that. But it's like if you look at her first meet with me to her second, there was improvement. It was a good amount of improvement. And then we went up a weight class. Well, the weight class is different, right? It's 4 kilos different. And then, like, we improved and we hit good numbers, but I don't know if it's noob gains because I think she could keep. Like, how long is this gonna last? You know what I mean? Like, I think she can keep improving. I think she's gonna hit 600 next meet. I think she's gonna be able to hit 615 over the coming years. So, like, 600 is only 15 kilos more than what we did, and that was after international travel. That was after like so many variables. You know what I mean? So, with Cranon, with that weight class, we knew that like Carlina, Agata, one of them is probably, you know, they're gonna be on top. We also knew that if they made mistakes or they missed lifts and Cranon came in pre-weight cut, pre-travel strength, that we could catch one of them. The reason why I say that is because Cranon squatted 220 in the gym and smoked it fucking blasted it. I could show it to you guys after. She benched 286 also.
Bro,
So
I said did we post something like
yeah, I told him delete that, you fuck.
I
Delete
saw
that.
she benched like, was it 125, right?
281. It was 280.
Was
I'm
it
not sure.
127? Then?
It might have been 281. I
Bro,
think it was
I was
281.
saying like and when I went back to look, like I went, for those who don't know, like I went on the King the Lifts women's preview show.
Yeah.
And I was like basically like high on Cranon because like I'm not privy to her training, right? And it's like you have like, as the coach, you have the perspective of like, this is legitimately like, so okay, some people have the debate of like, oh, should you hide your training or not? And it's not that Cranon like intentionally hides her training, I don't think, but she just doesn't post her lifts as much. She's more like influencer type B, at least from the outside.
It had gone so long without posting lifts that we're like, just don't post it. Fuck it. We're almost there.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, she like legitimately put like, what was it? Like 25 kilos on her total. So it's like, okay, when you have a newer lifter like that, like it is a legitimate strategy to not post. And I was like, you know, whatever, scouting going in, like most people had said, okay, Jessica is likely gonna lock up third. And I'm like, I don't know, like Cranon's like lifts were like, they were easy at PA Nats, right?
I think it was so funny knowing what I knew and seeing what people were saying. I was just like,
and yeah, no, exactly, because it's like you have the perspective of,
yeah.
and we'll get to Agatha and Carly in a minute. I don't want to like overshine what they did, especially Agatha, because she had a day. But Cranon, it's like going in, I'm like kind of scouting out whatever. I follow that account, right? It's Weeze's whatever.
Burner account.
Yeah. And I don't know how long it was up, or I don't know if I just got on Instagram at the right time, but like he posted her hitting like 125 or 127.5. And I'm looking at this and she smokes it, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm like, holy shit, like she benched 110 at PA Nats. Like, what? And I'm doing the math and I'm like, she could legitimately get third. Like, I'm not just being like American bias or whatever. And I go on the podcast and I say that I'm like, I saw this bench, guys. And I'm like, I could find it, right? I go to the page, it's deleted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I dream this up? Like, was that someone
No,
else?
I told them to delete it instantly.
I legitimately, like, if I hadn't, I showed one other person, right? I showed my partner. I'm like, look at this. Holy shit. Like, what? Like, she just benched 15 kilos more than what she did at Nats. If I hadn't done that, I like legitimately would have thought that I was like going crazy or something. Yeah, because in the moment I'm like, it's
you
not
gotta
there.
screen record. When
Usually,
I do previews and I see crazy stuff, I'm like, let me screen record this just to make sure that I have it.
Yeah, and because sometimes I do, especially if it's like, oh, in the stories. Like for instance, Petrie, only lift he posted all the prep was that 320 squat on his story. So like I remember screen recording that, but like this, I just didn't think of it. And like in the moment, I'm going to back to Weeze's page and I'm like, it's not there. Like what is going on? But anyways, yeah, she had a day. Agatha had a day. We'll get to that in a minute after we get more of your insight on Cranon. And then Carlina just, you know, just didn't. It just wasn't there that day. Like, and we know she missed her squats early on.
To be honest, like we were off on squat and bench. We didn't do the taper correctly the last week coming in because she ended up staying in a weird country, or she stayed in the capital, which is not where the meet was. Because when she got to the capital, it was before the venue was open for them to train. So she was going to random gyms and the time zone's all fucked up and the process for getting into a gym is like very different and it takes like 30 minutes to fill out papers and like it was just all this stuff. And then when she got to the gym, they were closing, so she had to rush her workout and she ended up not benching and like everything got mixed up. Everything got mixed up. The weight cut was all over the place. She didn't really cut that much, but like the nutrition was all over the place. And we basically just had to like, she was like messaging me throughout all of this happening and we're like, shit, like do some push-ups in your room, I guess, and do some bodyweight squats because we got to do something. And then eventually she gets to the venue, she does the workout there, then I get there, and then we do all the workouts together so I could see all of her training. And um, I think without the international travel, if we can hit those taper workouts right, she probably is as strong as she is back home, maybe, or close to it at least. I thought she would be a good for at least 225 and at least 5 more on the bench. But I will say on bench, they were holding her pretty tough. Like the hold was like, dude, usually it's the side referees. You're waiting for them to lower their hands.
Yeah.
And then the middle was quick. But the side referees would lower their hands quick. And then the middle guy was just like, start. And I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean? So, but then I knew like our main goal is to get third. If the door opens up for us to get second, great. But we don't really gain anything by getting second. And
you wanted to secure the panda.
Yes, Panda was the goal. Secure the panda. I was the panda accumulator that week. I said I want all the pandas. We cannot risk losing a panda. I knew that Jess was gonna probably squat strong. Her bench, she missed her bench, and we missed our bench, so it was like whatever. And
you
then
both just jumped 2.5, so
yeah, so it was like whatever. And then there was this distinct moment in the meet where I told Cranon, all you have to do now is pull a weight that you already pulled in training, and it was chill, and you're gonna be fine. And once I told her that, her mood, her energy, her demeanor, her confidence, everything was like, it was guaranteed at that point. She got confident. She was high. Dude, she's like in the warm-up room looking at herself in the mirror, hyping herself up. She'd be like, you're her. You got this. You fucking are the one. And then she came out there and she just pulls were amazing. Pulls were so good. I had so much fun during that session. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at second place and I was like,
yeah, you needed like 10 more.
Yeah.
Well,
I
at
was
the
like,
time,
nah.
did you pull after Carlina?
Um,
Because you
I'm
both
not.
ended up 245. I don't know
I'm
who
not
has
sure.
lot
I know that
number.
we were heavier and we did not have lot number, so we were going.
Okay,
We
you
were
went
going
first
first.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Carlina is like, I remember watching too and being like, damn, if Carlina like ends up fumbling on deads, like Cranon could potentially sneak in there.
Yeah. I knew that Agatha was just like popping off, so like we're not even thinking about that, but
yeah,
it was
Agatha had a
cool.
day.
Honestly though, I do want to say shout out to Carlina. I know she had a rough day, but like I know she could get that squat. I know she's capable of much more, and it was honestly just an off day for her, but I know that she's like literally like the best, if not one of the best in the world. Obviously Agatha is like a freaking phenom. She's just like on fire right now. Um so we'll see what she does next. But I just wanted to say to Cranon, what I'm really proud of is our first meet together was July last year. Within a year, she's already on the world stage, getting the podium spot and a panda against two absolute legends, literally legends in the women's division. And she's already in the mix with those girls, beating somebody who is also a legend, Jessica, who was also a former world champion, among other names. Sophia's a really good lifter. Arian's lifter, I forget her name, from Jamaica, is a good lifter.
Sammy.
Yeah, so
Sammy popped off too.
Yeah, so for Cranon to do that,
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how significant that is. Her being so early on in her career, being able to compete at that level, basically throwing the like me experience thing out the window, because I'm gonna be honest, she's very good about leaning on me, in terms of like, I don't know this, I'm gonna ask Joey. And I wish more
that's
lifters
great.
would do. Yeah, I wish more lifters would do that, because it's like, I'm here. Like, just like, if you just focus on, if she's like, you know what, I'm not even gonna try to learn that, I'm just gonna do what Joey tells me because that's what I could do best, and I'm gonna let Joey do what he does best. And then Matt, of course, was there. Honestly, like, she made
She
it
had a
easy
good
for
team.
us.
She had a good team behind
Yeah, she made
her.
it
Like,
easy for us. Like, all she had to do, and Matt was good about telling her like, we're not going to load anything that you can't do. And I think that also gave her confidence. And I mean, obviously she missed the bench, but like, who cares at that point, right? We're just trying to like gain any little pounds when we can.
It was 2.5. Like, what else?
Yeah. So, like, she did amazing. I think there's like so much more. Imagine what I can't even imagine what she's gonna be like when she is super confident in terms of like she has experience now, right? Now that once she has that experience,
like imagine a year from now. Imagine next
yeah,
PA Nats, which
dude,
I imagine will be her next meet.
Oh my god, next PA Nats. We're hitting 600. I don't care. We're hitting 600. Like that's
I mean, with
gonna
her
happen.
progress, it's not like unfathomable. Like,
but what's so crazy is look how far away Agatha was, right? We could get there. We could do that.
yeah,
Like,
and I guess that gives a good segue to like we want to give, like, of course we're gonna talk about Cranon because like she was arguably the breakout star of the whole meet, I think. Like I can't think of anyone else
think so?
who I think so, because everyone else,
like a new person to just kind of jump in there.
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe like I don't know, like maybe Megan Lee Smith, but like she's been on like international stage. Like her performance wasn't a like big shock or surprise. Like she's been on this stage before. I can't think of anyone else who like this was their first Worlds and they just popped off like that. Like Sonita had a day, but like she's been on Sheffield. Like
I'm not gonna lie, the Timur guy was
he's
pretty strong. He's pretty strong.
He popped off too.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about him later, but I agree. I think looking through the podiums in every weight class, I think she's the first. I think she's the only lifter to make a podium that this is their first international event.
Somebody do the stats on her for like, has anyone ever hit the podium after like your first international meet is top 3 at Worlds?
Well, there's definitely been. I mean, Amanda's first international meet.
Well, yeah, that was that was probably, of all the girls that I've coached, of all the fucking things that I've done in the sport, the amount of girls before that meet that were like, I'm rooting for Amanda or I'm rooting for Danny, for them to go head up, I just felt like the future of women's powerlifting is riding on this meet. Like, we need to make sure that this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it leads to like something I've been thinking about. Like at this point, like I don't think it's a question anymore. The greatest female powerlifter of all time is Amanda Lawrence. I don't think.
Okay, wait. Like,
Adriana, what do you think about that?
Let's finish 76. That's actually a good segue into 84 right after, because like.
Right. So no, the segue I was going to use, the thing I wanted to talk about was that
Agatha,
since that Danny versus Amanda battle, nobody's been there to battle Amanda. And I think the one person that would, I don't think it would take some time, but that I would like to see battle Amanda is Agatha. Mm-hmm. I think Agatha, she is already considering going up to the 84s.
Bro, can she put 50 on the total? That's a lot. That's 100 pounds. She'll look like a different person. She'll be
she doesn't need 50. She needs 35. She's 35 behind Amanda. And I don't know, but her squat, like
Joey's got
her squat went up.
Like what she's capable of.
I'm saying I don't think she's there.
We're gonna keep it like that for now.
Wait. I don't think she's there, but I think she's at least enough to make it someone to watch, right?
It's like a conversation at least.
50 kilos. There's a difference between winning by like 17 and a half, 20 kilos, where like there's somebody you're fighting against, versus like winning by 50. Like Amanda could win on openers for the last 4 years. Every single year, if Amanda took openers, she wins. There's got to be something closer than that. We can't have just openers.
Yeah, I think Agatha would spice it up, and Agatha has nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, I'm
supposed to lose.
I was talking to her this week, and she said that she's not sure if she's going to do it next year because she has certain other plans first. I think she wants to go win one at 69, but she said in the next couple of years that is something she'd like to do. So that would be interesting.
Wait. Okay, yeah. She's won. What has she won so far, Agatha?
Everything.
So she's won Equip World. She won Equipped Worlds, then she won Equipped World Games, and then she won Sheffield. Now she's won Raw Worlds, and now she wants to go win. This is what
But
she told me
what?
her plan is. Her plan now is she wants to go win Sheffield again, then she wants to go win Worlds at 69, then win World Games, and then also she wants to take the heaviest equipped squad of all time, even as a 76.
She wants to do everything essentially,
What
and
is
she
the
has done like everything pretty much.
what is
Once
the
more.
easiest path for her to win Sheffield?
I think I don't think she has a path to win Sheffield. It's impossible because she at 69 the total is 600. At 76 it's now 613. Even if she does phenomenal, we're talking like 1-2%. I think the huge favorite for Sheffield is Leon Corolla cutting down to 63 because that's still a low. That's the only weight class.
Route.
It's the only weight class that still has a total that could be beaten by more than like a couple percent. Like everything else is already like pretty juiced. Like there's no like
Maybe
there's
like
no other class
like they mentioned on.
that's still.
We'll have to see.
I think people overrate how like the 57s is pretty high. Like you're talking
It's
about people
high,
who are
yeah,
like
of course.
you would have to put up like the highest GL score ever to break the 57 like total record. Like we're not talking like at 63 like that's the class where you can win by 4%. There's no other class that's like that.
If Sonita does 750, 755, I think she could win.
Yes, she would need 755 to like to keep up with like 575 for Leah or Corolla. And they've both done 575. Granted, it's heavier, but like
or Megan.
It's
like if she continues to make a ton of progress.
Yeah, but I don't think Megan's 575. I don't think
How old is
575 is that. Megan's like 36. I mean, she's been making crazy progress, so don't count her out. But I don't think we're gonna see a 25 kilo jump in 1 year. Like that's a little.
That's a lot. I guess she's just gotta like the pathway would be like getting a bench that's like 150, 152. Which she's capable of, but
I honestly just think that this year Sheffield on the women's side is going to look more similar to how the men's have been previously, where there's going to be a bunch of classes where the world record isn't broken, and we'll see like a couple of percent. I don't think we're seeing like last year Agata broke it by 10%. We're not seeing that ever again.
I think Bob is just going to cut to 105 and just do like 975 and just win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's different on the men's side.
Yeah,
if Perkins goes 66, he could win that, and then
Perkins can't go 66.
That's the easiest way.
That's so crazy.
That's the easy, bro. These are what legends are made of. That's what he has to do.
If he does that, it would be hilarious because he could just total something like chill, like 765, and still just take the record where no 66 in the next like 10 years is gonna come. Like the 66s, honestly. I mean, they're competitive, but it's kind of like the weak link. If you look at like the jumps from class to class, like the fact that there's like a 130 kilo jump from one class to the next, like that's crazy. Like every other class is like you go up like a class, you go up like 30 kilos. There's 130 kilos difference between the 66.
Let's finish.
Let's
finish Amanda. But yeah, Amanda, I think she's one of the GOATs. I think she might be the GOAT right now. In terms of just pure dominance. We'll see.
I mean, 5 titles, like only 6 other people have done that. Like,
but also, I think it's important. And when I evaluate myself and my team, I think about this too. I think eras matter. And I think it's way harder now than it was like 5 years ago. And when I think about all the amazing things that like Flexx has done, for example, I say, well, it was a little bit easier. It was a little bit easier. I don't know, because like I'm trying to figure out. I just don't remember.
When was the turning point?
Like I don't remember it being like this crazy. 93s have always been tough, but this has been like with Keiko, we won nationals in 2019 by like a lot, like 25 kilos or something.
I mean, it just gets better like every year, like more like tight, like more competitive.
More people come out of nowhere. More people get in the sport. Naturally, if there's more people in a weight class and the top 1% is going to be fighting for that number 1 spot, that 1% is getting bigger. And then over time, it's probably less than 1%, but you guys get what I'm saying, right? So it's just one of those things where like, I feel like eras matter. I think what Amanda's done is incredible. I think what Sonita's done is incredible. I think what Agatha's doing is incredible. I think, will we see another 83 go on a run like Russ? I don't know. I think Russ is the only one that
I
could.
think,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Especially
I
if
think
he
at
moves
this
up,
point,
like it's
I
gonna be
think
very, very competitive.
we just look at the weight classes now and we see how like hard it is to make the podium. There's a very few classes. Like at this point, the way I see it, like let's say on the women's side, I think there's only 2 classes on the women's side that are like not like majorly competitive, meaning Amanda and Evie. Everything else, like it's a dogfight. So I think it'll be hard to see people go on these like stretches like previously. Like we used to have like people like Bonico who won like 7 straight, or like or like a Kimberly who did the same thing. Like now, I like seeing somebody who, if you go on a streak where you're winning like 4 or 5 straight at this point, like you're automatically in the GOAT conversation. Like there's not going to be somebody who's just really strong who does that. To do that, you have to be like the best ever to be at the top of your weight class for that many years at this point. Like
Jesus
I
has how
think
many?
Jesus now has,
4?
I think this is 4.
Is it
So
4?
5.
Like
So right now we're looking at.
yeah, so Jesus is the other person. Like it's so crazy to think about it because
Tiff's got
when
4 as a junior.
but the way I always look at it is I look at 2 things. I look at eras and I
Crazy.
look at dominance. Like not all titles are equal, right? The reason why like I thought that like Ray was the GOAT, if you had asked me 2 years ago or 3 years ago, was not just because he had his 5 world championships. He had won those and there was nobody close. Like he was just so far ahead, right? Like when people were talking about Taylor, right? At that point when he did 838 and there was nobody at like 800, like for me, for somebody to be like in that GOAT conversation, you have to A, be in an era where it's competitive, and B, be ahead of that era. Like you can't be like I would never say the men's GOAT could come from the 93 class because there's just too many people close. You can't be the greatest lifter of all time if you have 3 guys who are near you. Like to be the GOAT,
But
you have to
if you
be
have, hear me out. If you have 3 guys that are near you, but you keep beating them year after year after year after year, I think that makes your title a little bit
no, so that
more
makes each title is more
valuable.
valuable, right? But then it's gonna be, but you're not gonna, but you don't see the people that have like the 5 title, like Keiko to get 5 titles. That's gonna take a lot of. I mean, it's just hard to even make the world's team. Forget about to win a title in that class.
Yeah, now, yeah.
Yeah, like it's not. We're not talking like some classes. Like there are classes where like it's like, I mean, no, I love Wasker. He's strong. I'm a big fan of him. But like, there's no 59 in the U.S. that's close, right? Like he can just cakewalk to Worlds, and then unless Sergey comes back, like there's nobody in the world that's really close either. So like that's still like a class that's like kind of like weak. Like there isn't like a real battle either at nationals or worlds. But like other than that, like even like Russ, like right, we didn't expect this with Jordan. But like even if he had come out and won this, he would have still had to have put up a big performance. And even at nationals, he still had 2 people that were totaling like 830. Like he couldn't go and like coast like it used to be. Like it doesn't exist anymore. There's no more, unless you're literally like, unless you're that guy, unless you're like Perk right now, who's just like next, like you have to be like that next, you have to be that person who's competitive in the weight class above to be able to coast.
I think that's pretty good. What do we got left?
Good points. We'll wrap up like Amanda. And that's the thing too with like Amanda. Like she's so dominant that it's like, okay, the class is like you could finish up in 5 minutes. Like Amanda.
Yeah, what is there to talk about? She's just super dominant.
Yeah.
I will say this
like,
about Amanda. I will say this about Amanda. She did get sick the night before. It was really weird, and it kind of drained her squat and deadlift a little bit. So
and
I
she
was
still
like,
put
okay.
up like 642 despite
Didn't cut weight,
getting sick. Yeah.
Lost some weight from being sick, and then because she was sweating like crazy. And then we do the meet, win by 50. She calls me yesterday, right when she gets home, and she says, she's basically saying like, she's like, how can we make it even a little better? How can we get even more? How can I do 660 on a bad day? How can I do 670?
She always
like
she has the dog mentality.
She doesn't get, and that's how we need to be, obviously, with Russ from now on. Doesn't matter, right? She doesn't care that she's up by 50. She doesn't care about any of that. She doesn't care. She thinks the fact that Agatha thinks that she can get, I don't know if she thinks this, I'm just
She was
speaking,
she
that
was
she could
pissed on
get
the
remotely
podcast.
close to me, I will not have it. You know what I mean? Like she is ready to just like push it to a level that is like, she might go down as one of the greatest of all time or the greatest of all time. And then when she is done, nobody beats that for like 20 years. You know
That's
what I
what she
mean? Like,
wants. I guess
yeah.
that's what makes the idea of like Agatha going up against Amanda so interesting.
Because we need something.
Yeah, like imagine like she's actually pushed and it's actually like, okay, Agatha goes up and it's not like Amanda
And
wins by
who
20
Agatha
kilos.
is.
That
I th-
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I think bro, Amanda was like, I don't know if you listened, but like on the White Lights Media
What'd she
live
say?
podcast, she was pissed. And that's the thing too that would make it so compelling. Like again, we said like Agatha would need time.
Wait, what
like
did she
maybe
say?
she essentially said like, okay, congrats to Agatha. Like I don't know if she's saying she's gonna move up and challenge me, but like congrats to Agatha. Like you just won your first world title. Like I just got my fifth. So like there it is. So like
But
that's the
wait.
thing.
Let me just give some perspective.
Okay,
Ryan
yeah.
was trying to like
Of
set it up
course,
where like
Ryan's trying to.
we're like Agatha is like building that resume, and then Amanda's like yeah, it's nice she won Sheffield, but honestly, this is just my take. I think Sheffield's a little bit overrated. Like it's a great meet and everything, but like winning a bunch of world titles or winning one Sheffield, like Sheffield's like a luck of the draw in terms of do you have a low like record? Like Amanda could
Yeah.
never win Sheffield because she's just too good. She's too good.
She's
so
her
she
own
can't win
worst
Sheffield.
enemy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like so like that's why whatever. But like so Amanda's like, yeah, congrats, you won your first world title. Like you can't like compare resumes. Like come back to me in 5 years when like you have a resume like mine. That's
She
I
honestly,
guess that's what would make it like in my mind's eye, like just a good like if Agatha can actually move up in like 1-2 years and actually like give us a repeat of like Danny versus Amanda, like 2019, like where Amanda is actually like in a battle and comes out on top, like that would just add to her resume,
I
right?
think Cranon, when she gets to that level, going head up with whoever, million views on YouTube easy.
Right, because like they're
That's
just like
gonna be fucking
they're just
crazy.
compelling to watch, and it's
Yeah.
like,
right.
dude, like that video, like Amanda versus Danny, like that was
What are we at
probably
now?
it's I don't know that had
I'm
to
gonna find
be
out.
one of the first powerlifting videos I ever saw, like period. And
Really?
yeah, and like getting me into the sport, like wow, there's these two girls
Really?
who are
It
like
was
this
Hack versus
strong.
Gibbs for me.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a
So
little.
you're saying that these
it
epic
was compelling.
performances are
Of
getting
course.
girls into the sport?
Of course, because it's like that was just such a good battle. And I think the world is like, okay, Amanda's been dominant, like 5 world titles, but with the 84 kilo class, it's just like no one's there yet to
7.
challenge her. Imagine if like, and the thing with Agate too is like, okay, you could like, I'm not making this argument, but like some people could argue that, oh, she's the GOAT of female powerlifting because like
You
she
could,
doesn't
yeah.
like you arguably could because of like 600 at 69. Like I think she's got the highest good lift points. Like I don't know if Perk did more. Perk might have done more. Perk might have done more at USAPL Nats, but I don't think he's done more in the 74 class. So like if you're looking at formula, like best on formula, won Sheffield, now picked up a world title. Like it's compelling because she's so new to the sport, but has such like she just makes progress. Like
Compelling is
just
a
keeps
word
going.
that I think if people can focus on, it will allow them to do great things, because compelling is really all that. Like if you can be compelling, you're gonna get people. I just watched it. It was 613. That was the winning total in 2019.
And it's funny because Agatha just
and the second
613.
place total.
But yeah, being compelling is how you get people to, what is compelling? To me, it's like you get somebody to get up and do something, right? It's like, how many girls are going to watch Cranon's performances even though she didn't get
especially
first.
with the influence she has too. Like,
Yeah, they're gonna watch her meet and they're gonna be like, I want to start powerlifting now, or you know what I mean?
7
I
million
think,
views on that video. That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah. So I remember that day I remember going to dinner with Daniela after and just her being so like, I feel like she was mad at me. I'm like, she had it. Danny had it. It was in her hands. She just had to lock it.
Like, if we can get another battle like that, like with Amanda in particular, like just because like Amanda, like she wants that, like you said, like she has that dog mentality, like she wants to be the best, and like she is,
Yeah.
but she needs like, you need something, you need a that, I mean, that's what made like Russ's loss so compelling. Like he had a dominance for
Do you guys?
like he had the break from Worlds, but like was the best 83 for 5 years and then got unseated.
I don't think there was anybody left in the sport that had a reign that long.
Amanda, that's it.
No.
Yeah, Amanda.
That's literally it. Like since
Can we
2019.
pause real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Oh,
So
sorry.
basically, we're gonna move on to the 120 pluses, and this has been for the last couple of years the Jesus show, and this didn't really change. But the one thing that of note here is obviously we have we're now calling him the Georgian Bull, Timur. He's been on the rise for a couple of years. We've seen him like at Junior Worlds and Worlds the last few years. He like first hit like the 1,000 kilo mark, and he's been making like pretty quick progress. And honestly, even though Jesus was in control throughout this day, Timur kept it close. Like he
Two squats.
squatted
Two squats.
right. I know, of course. I don't mean that he was always in
Yeah.
control. He was always in control, but like Jesus had to just make sure he kept doing what he needed to. That was it. Like he just gotta like what we said earlier. Like when you're the stronger lifter, and there's no like
Stay in the
playing around.
pocket.
All you got to do is just keep your lifts where they need to be and just hit it. Like no, there's every single lift Jesus is attempting at a meet like this is like a 99% make. Like there's no he's not taking any lifts that are like unsure. So right, so we go. It starts off and Jesus takes like 425 chilled opener, and then obviously goes 455, which is about 1,000 pounds for everyone who doesn't speak kilos, and hits that, and then like passes on his third. I mean, it's a pretty quick flight. Things are moving. And honestly, there's no need, right? He's not going for like the world record today. There's no, but then Timur comes along and he squats 400, 420, and then 430 to take Jesus's junior world record squat. And then we go to bench. And then again, it's a chill day, right? Jesus goes 245, 255, 262. Like Jesus is capable of 275 plus. So we're talking like all lifts. Like, I mean, he at Sheffield, I think he opened at like 262, something like that, right?
I mean, he benched 270, but we jumped the command.
Yeah. So I'm
275.
saying,
It was a
yeah, it
lot.
was 275, right? So like these are all chilled numbers, but then like Timur benches 255, another junior world record bench. Like he's going, he's like
I
he's
mean, he's
literally he's
fucking
going.
strong, dude. Honestly, I look at him. I'm taller than him. I look at him and I'm like, how? Like,
Wait, really?
How are
How
you?
short is he?
He's
What's
like an
he?
inch shorter than me, but he's like a ball. He's like, his body is just a sphere, and he just like
I think
lifts
I
what
saw.
heavy as.
Yeah, he's a little bit lighter. I think I saw that he actually had a higher GL score than Jesus.
Oh my god. How much did he weigh
Yeah,
less?
he does.
Like 160.
Like 20-ish kilos less.
If we take a third squat, does that change?
Yeah, I think if you give him like another like 10 12 and a half, I think that gives Jesus. Like obviously Jesus could have taken and like on any lift, he on every single lift he had more. Like it's not
I mean, I'm
we're
not
not
gonna
talking
lie.
like reality.
It was like Russ. Like we were like, we just gotta do whatever. But then this guy shows up and we're like,
See, I mean the
let me
funny
just make sure that that doesn't happen again.
yeah, the funny thing is like I was listening to all the previews and everybody's like, "Oh, Timur's coming up, but like he's not like 1100 ready yet." And I mean, he did. He hit 1087, but like his third deadlift, if he hits that, that's 1100. Like he's like he's not obviously we're not talking
What did
Jesus
he
yet.
go for? Because he needed 1095 for the Sheffield total, but he didn't do that. He just sent it to something else and missed.
He went for 1100. He went for exactly 1100.
And he missed it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
He
that
took
wouldn't have
415.
gave him like that wouldn't have gave him like a automatic like Sheffield.
I know it would have been if he
Because
got
like, oh, like
1100. Oh wait. You might be right. If he did 1100, would he have beaten what Russ did for the
no,
qualifier?
because it was
No.
based on percentage of world records,
Yeah,
right?
it was
And Russ
impossible
went over
because
the
Oh
world
yeah,
record. So
Yeah,
Timur would have
it
needed
could-
like 1150 or something,
Shit.
or like
Yeah, it's not.
1155.
Yeah, you can't do it in like this. Is not one of the classes
like,
that
yeah,
you could
that's not
end up
happening.
getting the second. I mean, also, I think he might have gone for the world record deadlift. I think that's what he. I think 415. What was Jesus's deadlift? Four something.
410,
I don't remember.
right?
No, we did. Oh, the record.
Yeah,
410.
yeah. Oh, so he went for 415. So he went 5. He tried to break it by
He
5
just
kilos.
won 1100. Like he already locked up second. It realistically, like, you weren't catching up to Jesus. Like, would have needed an extra like what 12 and a half on top of that. Like, that's not happening. So
Timur's also competing at juniors, and he's competing in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's like
is he doing the
Agata. He does
Euros?
like the 8 meets a year.
Dang.
He also squats like he does like kind of like weightlifting, but for powerlifting. So he does like everything is singles, and he'll do singles like lighter and do a lot of them. And then as the meet gets closer, the singles go up, but you're just always doing singles, and you're always he squatted in the gym like it was like
He squatted
Friday, I
425
think,
2 days. Yeah, two
in the
days earlier
gym.
he squatted.
I was like, all right. I mean, I've seen that before. I
But so,
understand that type of training is just kind of an older way of doing it. But if he's progressing, then fuck it. I mean, what happened? But what happens if he starts hitting some sets of 8?
see,
Then he starts
honestly,
blowing the legs up.
what I think is crazy is some of the stuff, like over the last 2 years, you could point out like 3 or 4 things that people always would have said, like, this is stupid, and people do it, and they start, like, for example, Agata.
Everything works.
Six
Everything
SPD
works.
days a week. Or like we saw like the cut. Remember when you say, oh, when you cut down a weight class, you can never keep your strength. And then we see EV, we see Agata. Like there are things that we think are impossible. And if you just do them well, if you have a good plan and good communication between coach and lifter, it's all doable.
I'm telling you right now.
There's not one way. There's not one way.
There's literally not one way. And also, speaking of Agata real quick, I actually did a video on her training, and she told me that at the meet in the warm-up room, she was like, I was like, I did a video on your training. She's like, oh yeah, I watched it. And I was like, oh shit. And she was like, yeah, it's pretty close. But she was like, I do some days that are like real, like 55%, you know? So some of the days are just like so light. But yeah, I mean, Timur's coming up. He's happy.
I just rewatched Timur's third, and he got it to lockout. Like 415 went up.
It was like, yeah, but see, now he's at that point where like, if you keep gaining weight as a super, you're gonna start having like lockout problems.
Right,
So I think I don't know what's gonna happen there, but he's a happy guy. He's just chilling. He's kind of I like the guy is literally, you can't hate him. He's just like a happy dude, and he just
Does he speak English?
no.
Oh.
But he understands like certain gestures, and his team was really nice, really nice, and they show a lot of respect, and like they went out of their way to find me and Jesus after the meet and just be like, congratulations on everything and stuff. And I think he's a great guy, and I think he's good for the sport, and he's really young, and it'll be good to keep Jesus honest, to have him there. And yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say. Jesus was in control. Our goal was to just make attempts, because at Sheffield we missed the bench, and that put us in a bad situation. So we had to full send it, and that kind of messed everything up. But you know, we just got to make attempts, and we made the attempts, and like it was really like a very easy meet for us. It was just kind of
like just execute.
The biggest debate was like, do we want to take 3 squats or not? And Jesus was like, nah. And I was like, all right. And then after the meet, Jesus was like, dang, I should have taken another. So what did Jesus total? Was it 11?
12.5.
Yeah. So let's say we go another 10 on squat, easy 10. That'd be 22. And then, because we were originally thinking about 11:25, but then we are just like, like, what do we? Let's just win the meet. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too with like Jesus, like no one. Oh, my Siri went off. Okay, no one's expecting him to pull out like 11:52.5 again at Worlds if he doesn't need
No,
it. Like,
if we're doing that,
you're
we got to be
just
getting
gassing
paid.
him, like
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it
We
just
can't.
doesn't, like, even if he has a long time after this into Sheffield, it just doesn't, like, just win. It doesn't make sense to full send it here.
If
And he
he
did.
does, dude, if he does 1200,
Yeah, I guess that's the
I
real
think we have to do.
conversation.
I think to be Oh, let's talk about that later. Maybe we'll do a pre-Sheffield. We could do a
That's a
pre-Sheffield
whole, yeah.
because I have so many
Yeah.
people doing it. We'll do a pre-Sheffield if you guys want, and then we could talk about like numbers that need to be hit to beat certain projections. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I just got to keep Jesus healthy. Him and Amanda and Sonita now. I just got to keep
Mm.
him healthy, keep coasting. We're in the lead. Let's just stay in the lead, and we can have a nice long career and reap the benefits. We do not want to. It's not like other weight classes where like
Like they're
let's say you're
shifting like heavyweight. Like you can't
that's why
you can't push him year round.
if Ray comes back and is strong, I do not want Jesus to have to push at Sheffield and at Nationals. I can't do it. It will also not be fair because like that's the strongest guy and he gets screwed over because of rules. So I don't know. That's
Yeah,
just
I think it's done with. I think we missed out on the Ray versus Jesus battle. Like I don't think we're ever gonna get that chance at this point.
I think
I
Ray
think
wants to get the squat record. I heard through the grapevine.
I mean, I've like obviously he doesn't post so much of his training, and when he does, there's no weights and whatever. But like, and also he every squat he takes in training is high. But like, I would love to see Ray squat 500 kilos. Like that would be my like if I could pick one lift to see in person, it would be to see Ray squat 500 kilos. But in reality, I think it's
I got something for
yeah.
you. I remember the Arnold that Ray hit that squat, and I remember the
He had
judging,
500 that day.
and I remember. I don't think that squat will pass at 5 jury members.
No, it's not happening.
My brother, it's gonna be like one red, and they're taking that shit away. And he's from the U.S. It's not gonna happen. I don't know.
That's actually something interesting about Tamor. Also, like he squats deep. Like
So
he doesn't get reds.
Jesus and imagine Jesus, Ray, and Timur at the same meet. You have Jesus super deep, Timur super deep, and then Ray's gonna squat like close or high, and like the judges are gonna use that as a comparison, and they're gonna hold you to that standard, and then it's just a different standard,
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not trying to take anything away from Ray, but it is tough, and it is. The standard has, I think, gotten way better for super heavyweights over the years. I know some people think that it could be seen as like hit or miss as to if that's true or not. I did like for the super heavyweight women, I thought some of the deadlifts were soft or like hitched or like whatever, and they still got past, and I was just like, I don't know shit now, I guess. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. Again, got to keep them healthy. We're going all out for Sheffield. Everybody's going all out for Sheffield. Literally, Omega Jesus, like fucking super Godzilla mode Jesus. Like we are bringing everything, all the tools out of the toolbox. It will be like I need to not be. I will not be. I need to not be overwhelmed in the moment from how much. I will say as a coach, and I don't know any other coach that deals with this. Sheffield is the hardest meet to coach at because everybody is going at the same time. At the same time. So like I have backup, but it's just not the same. And I'm for this one, like I got to be hyper focused on Russ and Jesus. Got to make sure that they're locked in. Amanda, I mean hers is like scripted. We're just shooting for numbers, right? Sonita obviously got to battle, got to rematch everybody again. So it's if Keiko gets the wild card, we are gonna have so many battles at Sheffield that are gonna. At the end of this, I'll ask you guys who you guys want as the wild cards, but yeah, we can move on from Jesus to 63.
63s.
Okay, so 63s. Meg was the favorite. I knew the Italian girls were going to be strong. Alba was doing a really big weight cut from 69 to 63. I was like, okay, the weight cut's going to be kind of tough.
Was she
Let
weighing
me
69 like
right after
that
the meet,
week?
she was right after. No. Oh, that week? No, we had dieted down.
Okay.
That
But the
week,
other,
no,
but the meat she did was
literally right
around
after the last
69.
meet, she
Okay.
was like around 69. So I'm like, all right. And I'm not gonna lie, I talked to Kendrick, your nutritionist, and I was like, can it be done, brother? And he's like, it can be done, but I don't know how bad it's gonna mess up the total. And I said, fuck it, let's do our best, right? So we decided to do Worlds at the last minute, 7 weeks out. She locks in. She's really good with her variables. She goes to sleep early. She lives where like the reindeer are spawned for Santa Claus, and like there's no variables. It's just snow and like reindeers and rivers and stuff.
And
And she's like,
training, that's it.
and training. That's it. And there's like 6 people in that whole place. I'm exaggerating, obviously, but so she's really locked in with the variables. She trains consistently. She does all that stuff. She gets ready for the weight cut. She makes the weight cut. My whole thing is on meet day. I was like, I need to make sure that her squats feel good, because if her squats feel good, that means the weight cut was successful. And then lo and behold, like as she's 190 was the top end maximum that we had hit this prep. Well, like in the last 7 weeks, that I felt like this is probably a good target. She hits her opener. We take the planned second. I believe it was like 182 or 180. I believe. I think it was 180.
180.
And then
Yeah.
her belt unclips in the
Okay.
squat. So it looks hard. And I'm like, oh shit, we're only jumping 2.5. And then she goes, my belt unclipped. Like I can fix it. Like, don't worry. So I'm like, okay, we take her third. She hits it. She probably has a little bit more. So now I'm thinking, oh shit, the weight cut worked out. Like she's good. And then we go into bench. Crazy bench PR. She breaks. I forget what record she broke, but I know that because of her bench was so big that her and Cranon's benches were crazy this meet. I think they benched similar. I think Alba actually benched more than Cranon. Is that right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I almost got a
Alba,
bench.
she's got a bench. So she
I mean, she
pops
was
off on,
best behind Megan, so
yeah, she pops off on bench and then breaks the junior record on her opener deadlift. And then we take a second attempt, and then basically we're waiting for the Italian. I knew that her limit was like 222 to 225. 227 was like what I believe we had to try.
yeah.
We had a lot number on one of the girls, and then on the other girls they pulled way more. So like we just had to wait and see what they did.
Yeah, it was interesting too, because it's like, oh, Alba, Kiara, and Sarah all kind of had deadlifts like around the same strength,
but
like in that
but
like 220, 225
I
range.
remember
So
one of them, it was like if we had lot number or body weight, we could have gone lighter, but we didn't. So we had no choice but to try a little bit heavier than what we wanted. And I mean, at that point, it was like all or nothing, right? But shout out to the Italian girls. Meg just kind of ran away with it. She just had it. Like she
yeah,
just
I mean, Meg, like she still had to, like it was the conversation of like, okay, she was ahead, but like Kiara and Sarah like had days like they totaled like 540 and 537 respectively. So
yeah,
like
like really,
if
really good
Megan,
days.
yeah, like if Megan had like she was ahead, but it was kind of like, oh, if she messed
Misses.
up her deadlifts, then they could catch up. But she was just on point, like only missed that third bench on like her butt
What was
lifting
Meg's
up.
total?
552
552.
So we had
like
552. We
yeah,
had
like nearly
540.
10 kilo PR for
We had
her. Like
537. And then I think Alba
Alba.
probably had 532 on the day, maybe 535. So, I mean, I think in the future, I mean, she's young, right? So she's not even open yet. I think she's going to be really good when the time comes. But now, 57 kg, real quick rundown. Jade won. That was it. Natalie didn't come, so there was nobody to fight her, right? Jade wins. Now Jade is going to move up for juniors, and then Alba was the favorite. So now it'll be interesting to see, is Jade going to commit to bulking? Is she going to fully go up? You know, what kind of
Like,
total
what's
can
her
I get out of?
plan? Like,
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens at juniors. And it's just so crazy how the best girls in the juniors, a lot of them are juniors. Or sorry, the world, a lot of them are juniors. You have Tiff. I don't know if Tiff's a junior still. Is
I think
she?
she is.
I think she's in her last year of juniors.
Crazy. Jade
Yeah.
also, it's like you have all these like super good female lifters that are just coming up as juniors. And I think the reason for that is the weight classes that are less developed, like for example, a lot of the super heavyweight world records for the men were done by juniors, but the weight
Mm.
classes like the 93s and the 83s that are more developed, you don't really have that in the juniors because it makes sense that
Jesse was a junior when he took all
yeah,
the
Jesse
records.
has actually never done a meet not as a junior.
Right.
Jesse
So
doesn't count.
think about that. So you know, as the weight class gets developed or those juniors grow up, they obviously push their records in the open and then they become relevant in the open. But it'll be really interesting to see. I mean, I think Jade is amazing. I think Meg is amazing. I think all those girls in those weight classes are really, really insane. And I think the women's side is just developing a lot. And it's going to be interesting to see, um, you know, where things end up in a couple years. I don't know if there are any other weight classes that you guys want to talk about.
Yeah, so I guess let's talk about like the 69s a little bit. Corolla versus Leah. We got to
Oh
see
yeah,
that
yeah,
rematch. So obviously, this is one that was a little anticipated. It's weird because we got to see honestly two of the biggest stars on women's powerlifting battle each other in a weight class where they both were not going to break the total world record. It's kind of weird to see it because Agatha had taken that and
yeah. Agatel's
destroyed
like,
that in Sheffield.
I'm gonna make that so high that nobody's gonna mess with this. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. But then, like, I remember, like, I as soon as like as soon as the not as the projection, whatever they called again, the openers came in, like, I was looking at their like projected totals, and like they both were opening pretty heavy. I'm like I don't think either of them were gonna break the record, but they're both like close. And then it just like wasn't the day. Like obviously Leah took like a big jump first to second squat, and then missed that twice. Then you see on bench, Corolla got called for bench depth twice. Like it got overruled by the jury one time, and the other time I'm not sure got overruled or just got reds. And I don't know, all the benches look the same. So it's just like it ended up being where, I mean, it was close. It was 10 kilos off, and like Leah, loaded for the
She
win,
pulled for
but
it.
like it
Yeah.
was. But I mean, that didn't come off the ground or came an inch off the ground. So it was really Corolla's the whole way through. But it's just
What was the
interesting because
what was the correct jump on squat in your guys' opinion for Leah?
I think 220 was the second, 7.5.
7?
That's what I was about to
Yeah,
say.
they just
I agree.
the French lifters just opened too heavy, like on
Wait,
squat.
what
So
did she
you can't
open? 217 or 212?
212.
212.
And then jump 13.
You can't be jumping 13. That's crazy.
I mean, that's what, like, I think it's pretty open now. Like, that's what we were talking off air. That was like there was some sort of like miscommunication. Like it was supposed to be, and this has already been said on other podcasts too, so it's fine. It's not like inside information.
Inside
But
information.
but that attempt for Leah's second was supposed to be 222.5, and there was some sort of, I don't know. I don't know the full story. I wasn't there.
I mean,
but
I don't know the story at all, but just like watching both lifters, Corolla was the stronger squatter on the day. Corolla ended up with 220, 2.5 and had more.
it was
Liam did
easy.
2.5.
Yeah.
So, and Corolla opened with 207.5. Like that took 10 kilo jump first to second, and then 5 second to third, and definitely had another 2.5 in the tank. But like to open, if you want to open 212.5, which is pretty heavy, you can't be taking 13 kilo like this at Sheffield. That would have been fine. At Sheffield, if you want to just secure the world record on the second and then like chip it a little bit on the third, like that's fine. Like Amanda did that the other year, right? Like I think she like took like 246 and then like 249, like something like broke the record in the chip. But like at Worlds, when you're battling head to head, you cannot be taking a 13-kilo jump from first to second squats.
I
like
think
when
they
you're
know that. I just think, I mean, it had to be a mistake, right? Like they know that. Like there's no way they don't know that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
and we're
the
not
French.
privy to like all her training too. Like she could have been, I guess, like when I'm watching this, and I don't know about this like attempt selection error. I guess I'm just personally thinking like, what's the goal here for the third? Because like that's the purpose of a second to
Well,
set
for
you up for a
perspective,
proper third.
For perspective, if you look at like attempt selection, if somebody's taking a 13-kilo jump first to second, that means you have to think that they're expecting to take at least 7.5 second to third. Like you're not going to take 13 to go 2.5. That's ridiculous. That's terrible attempt selection.
I was actually
Like,
watching that session in the stands with Russ, and I remember seeing that, thinking we after squats we were like, oh, Corolla just wins, but then after bench we were like, does she win? So we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's interesting, like, I guess, like, oh, we always watch these battles and you're thinking, oh, what if this happened? What if this, like, thinking out scenarios, right? So it was interesting, like, I guess right after it finished and Leah tried to pull for the win, but like 240, it just wasn't like, I think even after the 230, it's like, okay, 10 kilos on this, like, probably not. But it's an interesting conversation because it's like, okay, yeah, she failed 225.5, but if she hypothetically had gotten 222.5, that's an extra 10 kilos on her total. She was 10 kilos behind, like, but then you can play the same situation, like, oh, what if the jury wasn't involved in Corolla's benches? She ends up with 150. Like, it was just one of those, like,
Can we get the jury out of here? I had enough. Like you have the best refs in the world, right? We got category 1 referees.
Literally get them out of here. Like literally
take the jury. There's no need. There's no need. The jury. If
you do need a second level if there's a mistake, like there are in other sports, but at the same time, it's like it's supposed to only be overturned when something is like drum. Oh wow, I can't believe that pass. Not like it's like, is the elbow here or is the elbow here?
Oh,
or is
okay.
the elbow
Let's get
here?
it while
If
we're
it's
at
that
it.
close, just leave it.
No, get rid of bench depth. It's done. I mean, I was never the biggest fan of it, but like it's one thing if you bench
It's
depth,
finished.
Squat depth. You can't have a rule that every single judge has like squat depth. The judges agree. It's just they might see it differently. Bench depth, every judge has a different opinion on where it has to be. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, shout out to Corolla, shout out to Leah. She might still get the wild card because I don't know who else would be as hyped as her. But
yeah, I think she gets it. On like the female side, I was like looking through it, and it's like besides for the people who already have spots, there aren't any huge notables that are like waiting for spots. So I think it just goes to Leah for sure. That's like,
yeah. Any other who we got next?
So
we could skim over 105s and 120s.
We could do like we could do 47s first, since that was like, oh, bench depth.
Is that the last one?
Like, good segue.
Do you think that it would have been?
Yeah. I think we just got 47-52 left.
Yeah, so I mean,
52. I don't know nothing. I was just
I mean, the 52s. There's nothing like. There's really nothing to say. Like Evie is the strongest 52 in the world. She won by 25
Evie's
kilos.
An athlete. Like that's crazy.
Didn't have to take her third deadlift. Like it's. I mean,
phenomenal.
Like right now the 52.
Have you guys seen her in person?
No.
Yeah.
She does not look like a 52. She's like big. She's
really
big.
Tall.
She's tall. And she's very jacked. Like, yeah, she's very tall and very jacked. So like,
I guess it's a question of like, when is she, because like she needs to move back up, right? Like not needs to, like, okay,
I don't know, maybe
like,
not.
like she's been able to.
I think I think at this point she probably goes Sheffield one more time, places high at Sheffield, and I think next year she goes 57. Like
that's kind of what I was thinking, but
she's gotten past her 57 numbers at 52. Now give her an extra 5 kilos of body weight, and I think she's like back in the running for like the 57s. Like
it's just like great, like that was clearly the highlight of this class. I mean, it was honestly a really good battle for like podium too, like top 5. But it's kind of like, okay, Evie just ran away with it. Ploon had a day. Shout out Ploon getting the panda. Megan Lee Smith. But Evie, like, yeah. I guess it's just like phenomenal to see, like, even after like, when did she first cut to 52? Sheffield 2023.
Yeah.
Like pick, and then
Yeah,
going on to pick
blew
up.
it out of the water.
Yeah, and then it's kind of a question of like, oh, she does Sheffield. Like, can she, like, is she gonna just do Sheffield then move back up? Like, what's going on here? Like, and then she just does 2 world championships back to back, walks away with the title, like pretty much, like doesn't even have to take her last deadlift. Like, it's just like, dang, like crazy act,
Smash.
like being able to like cut down and sustain like she's not sustaining 52 year round. Like, she's done meets at like 55, 56 throughout the year. But like to be able to like show up at like Sheffield Worlds, like in a weight class that she's frankly too tall for, and still like perform, like it's like you look at her, she's just like crazy lean, but she's still, like you said, like big and able to put up close to her own world record, like repeat, like on the biggest stage or one of the biggest stages, Worlds, and like repeatedly. Like, it wasn't
I
just
think if you guys were
one-off
there,
performance.
you guys might say that, like, obviously Sheffield is literally a bigger stage, but this meet is more, there's just so much shit on the line. There's
Right.
just so much like drama. Like, it's just I implore you guys to one day come to a Worlds.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
I've
I
been to
want
Worlds,
to.
but
Oh yeah, I know
I'm
you
saying,
have, but
yeah, I think like I haven't been to Sheffield yet. I do want to go to Sheffield, but I still just value Worlds higher. Like I just think
I
like
mean, it
Sheffield,
has technically more
Sheffield
not
is like a great
monetary value,
spectacle.
but it is a
Right, right.
gateway to more value. Yeah.
Like, I mean, this might be a hot take because everyone says it the other way, but for me, I put Sheffield number 3. I go Worlds number 1, World Games number 2, Sheffield number 3. Because
Have you
World
been to World
Games,
Games?
no, I wish I went to the one in Alabama. It was right here. I should have won. But they say, I don't, they're expecting there to be like 15,000 fans by World Games for powerlifting.
Oh,
15,000
World
fans
Games is gonna be fucking
in
crazy.
China. I know. I would love to go. Like,
I need
that's
a VPN.
VPN.
Yeah, you can't use your internet. You can use like Google
Oh,
or
really?
yeah, certain things there. Yeah.
Well, so can you actually use a VPN? Does that work?
I mean, I have people telling me that it's possible, but anyway, I just think that Evie's the go. She's doing crazy and the crazy things in that weight class. Rolling into the 47s.
Yeah. So 47s, like, I mean, Tiffany obviously came in. She was the favorite. And I thought this was going to be a decent battle, and it could have been. But of course, the jury got involved. Squats, like Tiffany squatted 165.5, which is crazy. Like,
That's crazy.
She literally probably can go up to 52, take the world record squat there also. But then Jess had a good squat day. And then coming into bench, it's like Jess needs to keep up with Tiffany, maybe gain a couple of kilos. And what happens is she smokes her second, and the jury overturns it. And then she retakes it on her third, and again, the jury doesn't give it to her. So
if she gets her third, does it change deadlifts or did it not matter?
So I think no, because she retook her second. Like, she hit 90 on her 90 opener, 95 second and third. I think, but 95 was easy. So if she can go 95 and then 100 on her third, I think she wins.
That potentially,
But
that's kind of what I was thinking too.
So it was that close.
Yeah, I mean, she had to load 197.5, which was not going to happen. But 187.5, she's hit in training. Like, I think 187.5 would have been there. So I think, I mean, she got
that would have been
interesting.
That would have been interesting because if she would have just attempt at her last heaviest deadlift, and then what was her last make?
So
177.
Just 177 was
she
her
made
second. Yeah, and she jumped 20 kilos to pull for the win.
I mean, obviously that's crazy, but
it's like,
if
okay,
she would have,
197.
if I was her, I would have been like, all right, let me go 187 and see if she hits it, then she knows now she can go, I got fucked by the refs.
Right.
Because she's like, I would have won. I would have won. You know what I mean? Which is what we're not saying with Russ, because we think Jiren still had more. But you get what I'm saying, like,
yeah,
it would have been nice to kind of know that for your own
and we
mentals.
don't want to like take away
I kind of wish
Tiffany's performance, because like she's still
Tiff is good.
Yeah, she's still like, I don't
They're
remember what
both.
the world record was before, but she still hit
She
over
broke the
it
world
with
record.
four.
Yeah.
Yeah, she broke the total world record 433. Like she still she had a day in the squats. Bench only walked away with her opener. Okay, she just hoping to get it too heavy, and then jumping 5 kilos. I think honestly they were probably aiming for like 105, which is what she hit in the gym, and maybe like I don't know Tiff. I've never talked to her. I've never talked to the French coaching staff. I don't know, but her squats showed up, right? She was pretty much able to translate what she hit in the gym onto the platform. So like potentially that's why they went 102.5 on her second, but she just missed those. She just missed it twice on strength. And then it ended up being like, oh, interesting in the deadlift when she had the hiccup on her second attempt. I think it was just like grip or something. Like I don't know why it was 170 that Tiff missed on her second. So it for a second there, it was like, oh, if she ends up missing, that's the thing too. Like it could have been a really close battle with Jess having more of a chance to pull for the win if the jury didn't get involved. But it ended up being like kind of the same conversation that was had leading in, where Jessica could win, but Tiffany has to miss. But she historically hasn't had. I mean, she went 6 for 9 here, so
I think
I don't know.
I think Jess has a lot of potential. I think she's still young and she's still trying to gain weight. And I think her day will come. And I think she just needs to keep her head in the game and keep working and don't let it get you down. And shit happens, but you're gonna learn from these moments. And like I said, like it's like Sonita, you just got to keep going, keep trying, keep swinging, and eventually you'll hit. So,
Yeah. Shout out Tiff too.
I mean,
four world
yeah.
titles.
They're both
And she's still a
juniors.
junior.
They're both juniors. It would be nice. I would love to see them like battle out at Junior Worlds. They're not going to do it, but the one thing I'd say is like, Tiff is very big. Like Tiff is there. I mean, maybe another year or two, but she's not long for the 47s. Jess is still filling out the 47. So her time will come. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after that, but like,
yeah.
I expect her to probably get close even while Tiff is still there, and then eventually Tiff is probably going to move up. Like,
it'll be really fun when like it's at like here it was like potential for it to be close if like Jess got like 100 kilos on the bench, but like it'll be fun when it's like, oh, it's very tight. Like Tiff isn't the heavy favorite. Like it's more like, oh, I legit don't know who's gonna win. Like that could come next year, the year after. I don't know.
Shout out to the 47s. Is that all the girls?
Shout out the 5-person jury. Shout out Vicky who bombed out for no reason. God, that's so bad. Bad way to start off the meet. I mean, here that's a good segue.
7 people in the whole meet bombed out. 7? That's pretty good. Out of the whole meet.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good, actually.
Yeah, actually, and 2 of them, you know what? If we're gonna jump to the men, we could just jump to 2 of the ones who bombed out. The 120s.
Fuck.
The like 2 of the top people. Jonah, like he's the junior from Germany who just I guess didn't show up or didn't attempt to make. And then
no, he was
Muhammad,
there. He just
I think he posted on his stories that
I think he supposedly got hurt.
Yeah, I think he hurt himself in the warm-up room, and they said that here, I think this is what, and don't like quote me on this, I'm not completely sure, but I think he said in his stories that he got hurt in the warm-up room. They went to the jury and asked, hey, what's a like bona fide attempt that we could take in the squat so that he could try for the world record bench?
And they're like, no, he has to do his opener.
Yeah, he has to do 30, like they said 305, and then they were like, okay.
Really? Wait, isn't that ridiculous?
I think that's what I mean, Jonah. I think
the rules are like, the rules.
I think he posted that on his story, but I'm not 100% certain.
I can find out. I can literally just ask him and be like, hey man, what happened?
Because it was kind of like, oh, like you're waiting, like from a viewer at home, right? Like 305's on the bar, you're waiting for him to come out, you're like, oh, he timed out, and then it's kind of like what
yeah, but I assume they asked the jury before then. They didn't wait till like
I think that's
so
what happened. I think that's what happened, but I'm not completely certain. Maybe
it had to have been after the limit.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe
that I mean, I assume that's what it is. But
and
then
maybe
okay,
he
the other
just
one,
said that like, okay, I'm hurt, like there's no use like hurting myself more, like I'm not gonna place high. I don't know.
right. So the other person who bombed out in the 120s is Mohammed Sahad, who won Worlds a couple of years ago. He actually made a post today, or not today, but he said something about
He made an interesting
complete.
post.
Yeah, I mean it's translating, so I don't know what he actually said in his language, but he was not a fan of the referees, and he was complaining about the referees all being from the same country, especially America, and how they there's no integrity in this world.
I mean,
But
what
yeah,
happened
so
on
he also
what
bombed out.
happened on his deadlifts? Because
Well, so
I wasn't able to watch live.
his squats also looked good and got overturned by the jury, but then his deadlifts he just didn't lock them out. Like I don't know what he has no valid complaint. So I don't like
Yeah, I mean,
of all,
what about? I mean, as a lifter, you can't control what judges are in the seat, but you can lift cleaner.
yeah. I mean he opened heavy and couldn't lock it out. Like I don't know, he had no valid complaint. Like there are definitely calls from this world that I thought were ridiculous, but not his. So
Well, talking about the 120s, the battle that we thought we were going to have was Etienne versus Mr. Bob, and Bob obviously is capable of like 9 million, 990 or something like that. And you know, it's actually funny. Before the meet, I was with him. Like him, and Mike Z got driven to Mike drove us to the thing, and I had a bunch of Gatorades with me and like water and stuff and Snickers. And Bob is in the back, and like we go, and he weighs himself, and he's like really close to 105. Like we still had about an hour, so I was like, you might want to drink half of this Gatorade and just make sure that you're gonna be over. So he drinks that, and then he weighs in. So he basically has to like drink to make weight, right? To safely make weight. He makes weight at the 105. I think honestly, like when I think about the women's side, who the freaks are, like who's like who's newer and coming up, like Bob and Cranon are the two that are just like, man, like bro out totaled the 120s as a 105. Did he out total Ashton?
yeah,
By a
by
lot.
like 30 by
Yeah, but
Bro,
Ashton
28
had like
kilos.
more.
Ashton just pulled like what he needed to win, essentially.
Yeah.
Like he
Does Ashton
had
have
more.
30 on that pole though?
No,
His squat
So
too. He
not
could push
30.
his squat. So
yeah, it'll be closer. It'll be closer.
yeah.
But Ashton has 20 on that pole. So it's definitely
20
like
and
it's
10.
yeah, I think like 20 on the pole, and he's squatted 10 more also like in competition. So he had like I think I would put Bob as the favorite, but very
I think,
slight,
like
like
I said
60
earlier,
40. I
I
think it's
think Bob,
closer than people think.
I think Bob goes down for Sheffield to 10 to yeah 105 and just fucking kill it.
I think that's what's gonna happen, but I don't think it's gonna be as like I think Ashton's closer than people think. Like Ashton
Yeah,
totaled
I don't like
940.5.
It'll
hearing
be them too then,
Yeah,
unless Russ does like 885.
and
well, if he does
perf, like whatever he
885 at
does.
83, that would be
I mean, we did it once. We already did it once. We just overseas too. We just didn't
yeah.
cut. We just got to figure out. We got to cut like Evie. Maybe we'll hit up Evie. We'll see. But
Yeah. Yeah.
bro,
EB,
that'll be
what's the
crazy.
secret?
But what was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean Bob handled business. He was the stronger guy. All he had to do was go make his lifts, and he did. Etienne is really fucking strong. I do think though, when Rondell gets here, that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
There,
There's no.
it's a wrap.
It's gonna be tough for any of those 120s to mess with him. I just think that's we all see the writing on the wall. I'm happy that Bob was able to come over and experience Worlds and lock it in. I mean, we could do the 105s at the same time. It's kind of the
Of
same
course.
situation.
Yeah.
It's the
Same
same
exact
situation.
thing.
It's like Bob and Ashton were stronger. They just needed to make their lifts. Although Anatoly and Ashton had the same totals, yes, Ashton had way more on that last pull. And I think if Anatoly would have made that third, Ashton could have just pulled over.
Mhm.
Anatoly squat is crazy.
His openers were like at the beginning, and we know Ashton's gonna take big jumps, right? But
Yeah.
like at the start, like openers coming in, it's like, dang, Anatoly's like opening pretty heavy.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
anyone who knows Ashton knows that like it was like on openers, Anatoly had like a 60-kilo lead, but we all know Ashton takes those like 30-kilo jumps from first to second. So like,
but I mean, them like Anatoly walking away with a squat world record, like I thought it was close on depth, but like 370 point, like he walks out to a squat opener, right? And it's like, oh, is he opening too heavy? Like I even want to see like what was his previous best, because it was somewhat close to, okay, like 363, and you're opening with 350. Like that's like you're kind of like, okay, he's gonna go over that if he makes this move well, or is he just opening too heavy? But he like came out and it was like, okay, he's on today. His bench showed up, he got 230, but the deads was just kind of like, okay, it's Ashton's pretty much, especially with the last pull advantage. So
Yeah, I mean the
or
last
not
pull
last pull,
advantage.
but like last pull between him and Anatoly.
Yeah.
Sanchez ended up with that like
I
100
think also,
kilos.
so shout out to the 120s. Etienne, I think, has a good future. He's really, really crazy deadlifter. He has obviously
Yeah,
deadlift world record.
396 to end off.
Super consistent, conventional. I don't know what was going on his second, but he fixed it up. I think also on his bench, I don't know what you guys
what was
saw.
going on with that
I
bench.
saw his elbows were not straight at the start. They were not
Okay.
straight because he does a
so
self
what?
handout. So he's like
So why do
this.
you get the start command?
I don't, because
If the majority
it's
agree,
worlds,
then
man. And then so he's here, and then he's pressing, and he's finishing here, and then they're like, "You're not, they're." I don't know. I agree. He shouldn't have got the start command, but um, I think like I said, he has a good future. Shout out to Bob and Ashton for handling business. I do think though they have been stronger, and this is another topic, but we were talking about me and some of the boys were saying from the US lifters, which we could tie right into Perkins. Perkins' third squat, and you guys could tell me based on Ashton and Bob, because you probably watch them more than me. Were like, I know Perkins' third squat is something he tripled in the gym. So like, do you think that like we were all kind of a little bit nerfed having to go through the travel and all that, it seems?
I think Ashton's third squat was a second. Ashton had of those three, Perkins' third squat was hard. Bob's third squat was extremely hard. Ashton's third squat was not a third.
Okay. So
Ashton was just kind of
Ashton,
like, okay, he's the stronger lifter, like just.
let me
And
chill.
I think, yeah, and I think he had spoken to on one of the live podcasts, like kind of saying that, not that they were underestimating Anatoly, but like he doesn't go all out on his squat anyways, just because it would tax him too much if he had to, let's say he had to pull a 385. Like I think he didn't want to necessarily push the squat like a ton, just because it's like, that's a lot, bro. Like you're 105 and you're squatting and deadlifting more than 800 pounds in the same day within like 2 hours of each other. So
yeah, I mean, it was like I said, I think Bob's a freak. I think Ashton's a beast. I think Perkins obviously handled business. For those wondering why Perkins pushed the deadlift, it's because what if he doesn't take a third and then get the other guy loads it up and gets it? That would be a very bad thing. So you might as well just lock it in.
yeah.
And but I think Perkins obviously is like way ahead. There's not really anybody else to challenge him right now. I don't know if there's anything more that you guys want to say on the 74s.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing I'd point out is that like Perk won by a bit, and Shell was still second in best lifter. Like he wasn't even close in his weight class, and he was the second best lifter in this meet. It's just it's kind of interesting. I
Does
mean,
that mean the
Interesting
formula
perspective.
needs to change,
I
or
don't
does that
I don't
mean
think so. I mean, think about it this way: Shell totaled 812.5. 812.5 would have won
As a
Worlds
74.
last year. No, as an 83 last year and 2 years ago. Like
Yeah.
we're still talking like I don't think the formula needs to change. I think the 74s, I think Perkins is on another level, meaning Perkins and then Peak Atwood are the only ones who have done anything like that. And like there aren't many weight that's why we talk about Bob, like since he could have been a 105 and beaten the 120s. other than that, you don't see people that could beat the weight class up like without trying, like with easily. Like there are people who, if they went up, they could win, but we don't see people who at their current weight are totaling what the weight class above is. So I don't think the formula is flawed. I think just Shell is really good, and Perkins is on another level. And I think like right now, like I don't think anyone can contend with Perkins right now.
Going into a much let's do so it's 59 to
Let's finish up
66
50.
left, right?
Yeah. Oh God, I thought we already did 66. Yeah, 59 66.
I was gonna say let's do 59 quickly, and then we could do
And then
66,
66.
and I think we
Yeah.
and then we
All
could
right.
call it. Yeah.
59. Waskar locked it up. I mean, it wasn't real, like it wasn't a battle. Like Antoine showed up, Antoine Garcia. He had a day, ended up with 6'10, like looked really strong on the day. Ivan, or Ivan Campano, he ended up third still, so still on the podium. There were some other contenders, like I think Ishtiak, shout out Ishtiak. He tried to pull for the podium, but it was just like, all right, 275, like that's a lot. But I mean, he had like nothing else to do, like just go for it. But Antoine had a day. Ivan kind of got nerfed in the squat, only walking in with his opener and still ending up with 597.5. Like that's what happens. Like that's still a phenomenal total, but it's like, okay, in the gym he was putting up like 630 or something. Like you get nerfed missing lifts. Antoine had a day. Waskar locked up his second world title, and not more importantly, but like it was a big goal for him to lock up the Sheffield spot too. And he ended up doing that on his last deadlift. And it was close. Like I honestly, like there was a point in the middle where I thought he lost it. Like I thought he was about to drop it. Similar to last year, but locked it up 637.5. Really great story. I mean, like it'll be good to see him at Sheffield. It's gonna be hard for him. Like I don't think he's gonna be, and I think he knows this too. He's not gonna be in contention for like the win or anything, just because he's gonna battle with Sergey's record. But he's gonna, like that's his dream to make it on the Sheffield stage, and he did it. And it's like it's kind of heartwarming to see after like you listen to his story, like knowing that he missed out on this opportunity last year. So yeah.
I have a like a question. So did he do basically the same numbers as last year, but he just came all the way back and then just had to make the third pull? Is that kind of how it played out?
I think
Like
so. I kind
repeat
of
what you did last year, but you just got to make your third pull this time.
I don't think so. I think he
last year
was
he
it
had to pull yeah, he ended up
More?
benching more this year.
Last year
pretty
he
much
loaded. He benched 5 more this year, and he loaded 5 more on deadlift last year.
Yeah. Like
Okay,
last
so
year
this
he had
time
to pull 600 pounds.
He
to
literally
lock up
this
the-
so
year
squat same, bench up 5, deadlift down
Yeah.
5.
He he repeated exactly what he did at nationals, with the only difference is he took 148 on bench at nationals or 147 and a half here, and then took the exact same squat and deadlift and the same exact attempts. Like he literally took the exact same attempts as he did at nationals.
I mean for those watching, as an advanced lifter, and especially in the smaller weight class, you're gonna train a whole year, and you might, you just PR your total by 10 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's it's. But
It's
that 10
hard, like-
pounds, but that 10 pounds can be the difference between making Sheffy or not. So
and
I mean,
Steve kind of gave Steve DeNovi, his coach, kind of gave a little insight on their own recap. Like I think it was just difficult for him to maybe like some shades to Russ a little bit, like difficult to do back-to-back preps and having to stay at like a lower body weight.
But Jurens did it, which means
Jurens
we
is
have
crazy.
to. Yeah, which means we have to do it. And also, what I've also learned as a US lift coach person is we're just never going to get home field advantage, and we're just always going to be nerfed a little bit. So we just always have to, fuck it. I mean, I guess we're just going to have to always
Just
be
lock it
handicapped.
up.
We got to figure it out. So it is what it is. So speaking of possible handicap, maybe not really. rolling into the 66s.
Great battle.
That was like a really close, tight battle. Was it 4-way or 3-way?
So it was really, it was 4-way, but it was.
Oh, I
it was
thought
one
you
of these
meant like
battles.
the total.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So the battle itself was 4-ways, but it was like one of these things that like if you are like experienced with these lifters, you knew that it wasn't going to end up being the fourth person was Kyoto, but Kyoto just he can't lock out his deadlifts over a
It
certain
wasn't
weight.
clean enough. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. It wasn't even close. Like it's the same thing that happened at Worlds last year, and like he can't lock these out. So, like watching, you knew, and he takes like this big jump usually, like, and then just doesn't lock it out. So, in reality, it ended up being like 3-ways, and Garcia was coasting. He was ahead the whole meet. Obviously, he had the biggest squat by 15 kilos. He had the biggest bench. But both squat and bench, he had more in the tank, which is like where people
Do you
like
think
were.
he should have squatted like 2 to 5 more on each? Like, do you think that was like safe, or based on the second, would it have made sense?
So, in theory, yes, but he missed his second on depth. So even though he had more in the tank, the problem is his opener was 250. He went 262 and a half on squat second, and then went 273rd. So if he had hit his
missed
second,
it on jumping a command, or was it?
Oh,
Down?
maybe he did. Oh, okay. Whatever. He's a jump command. But the point is that
it was really small. It was like such a little.
Right. Okay, so that makes sense. But the idea is that like with the missed second, if you take that extra jump and then he's stuck with his opener, the day's over. Like he's done.
Yeah, so, but think about the Chance Mitchell mentality. If you don't get it, you just fucking lose.
No, but it's not true. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, that idea is theory in true sometimes, but here it's not, because all he had to do was hold his third deadlift, which is something he expected to be able to do. So he thought with his squat and his bench, he had enough in the tank. Like he
told me that he had deadlift problems. Like he got hurt, and he didn't get to deadlift much. So he just kind of.
I think that's that's what was going in. Because at Nats he pulled 265, and it looked like he had like 10 kilos in the tank.
Yeah, he showed. He posted. He pulled 280 in training and held it.
Oh dang! Okay,
he held 280.
I didn't see that, or maybe I did see that.
Obviously,
a while ago.
So I don't expect that, but like I thought like 265 to 270 was like his top end. So I thought like even though I thought he had more in squat and I thought he had more in bench, I thought if he hits his squat, hits his bench, hits 3 deadlifts, there's nobody who could touch him. I think that
that
would put him with like
5 more, he wins.
Right, 5 more. That's it.
5. What did he jump?
Well, I mean, Custom Sam would have loaded it up. So,
yeah,
he might.
You can't like count out like Custom Sam's third deadlift wasn't like a grind.
No, you can't count out the full send.
Yeah, no, you're right. But also, I was talking about if deadlifts went smooth. Deadlifts didn't go smooth. He missed his opener.
Yeah, so exactly.
Nothing about deadlifts went smooth. He missed his opener, so he didn't take the plan jump opener second, and then like, I mean, deadlifts like mess him up. But then the other thing to talk about here is I saw Matt Gary talking about it, and everyone noticed this. Actually, the U.S. did the exact same thing last year with Brian Lee, which was terrible. I was screaming my head off when they did it. They put Pana's second attempt. They put Pana's second attempt as a useless number. It was enough to tie Garcia, but he was heavier. So he took a big jump. That means he's still not going to be ahead. You got to either take a smaller jump and set him up for a third, or put the 2.5 more. I honestly, I get that it's hard to handle game day. There's a lot of stuff going on, especially in a battle that was
at this level. Like, you got to think of the sport as like,
yeah, you can't be making mistakes.
The NFL. Like
I would never. Well, in the NFL they make mistakes. Oh, they're terrible.
I know.
Clock management. Clock management. Oh, clock management
That's
is so
crazy.
Bad. Even like some of the like Sean McVay, like Kyle Shanahan, like they're not good at time management. It's kind of crazy. But getting back to powerlifting, it's inexcusable to make these mistakes. You should even if it's not the team's head coach, then you have to have a secondary person whose whole job is to make sure that the numbers are right. They don't
have a guy who like just.
You need a Grant Iverson out there. You need a Grant.
You need to have a guy
Grant.
Who's just
you need
numbers.
A Steven Singleton. You need somebody there just with the numbers and making sure the numbers are right. Like I think every team should have that.
In that way, you have the personal coach or whoever could see how much the lifter has in the tank. You have the other guy giving you the numbers. You have the lifter feedback, and it's like, I mean,
you need a team.
This is again. I mean, I'm at the point now where like I don't want to do anything with nutrition. I just want to be like, who's the best? You're gonna do it for this person. I'm gonna focus on what I do. You focus on nutrition, and that's it. Like we just not like you can't there's like if you think about all the other sports in the world, there's nutritionists, there's weight trainers, and then there's coaches. There's like all the different positions, and I think powerlifting is becoming so big to the point where like that's what we're gonna need. And that is why the demand for like a good nutritionist. That's why I use Kedrick for everything, because he's really, really good. So he comes to the meets and he helps the lifters in person. So it's like it's just one of those things that like I think as the sport evolves and gets tougher, especially when you have a 66 kg battle where everything is like so razor thin, everything needs to be perfect, attempts need to be perfect. I mean, if Panda gets that deadlift, does the other guy just pull over him anyway? Do you think?
Probably. I think he probably did. Meaning his third like wasn't like all out, but like you force him to load the extra 2.5, and also he passes Garcia. Like he at least is sitting in first. Here he's not even sitting in first. Like he ends up where he's tied with Garcia. He's behind, and then he loaded 2.5 more for his third. Didn't make it, but like so then they say like okay, but
it was
like,
close
just
too.
basically taken that. You basically just take the same attempt twice. Like that's just like it's terrible. I hate when they do that. I mean, the French team does it so often. They take seconds as thirds. They open like I remember a couple months ago I saw this whole thing. People were saying that powerlifting would be more interesting if it was just 2 attempts for each lift. So France does that. They're like, we'll open with our seconds and take our thirds on our second.
I think 3 is fine. I mean, two would be fast.
No,
Yeah.
I don't like 2. I like 3. I like 3 because
three.
three gives you different strategies. You have the people with the big jumps. You have it gives you a lot of different ways to approach it.
Imagine it was 1 attempt.
That would
you missed one like you're out.
That's it. You're fucked. Good job.
It makes it all gamemanship because it's either you hit and win or you miss and and you get nothing.
That's so lame. Crazy. Like imagine.
Yeah, I would not. Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
I want to see like one like mock meet like between 2 people who are really close. Just I can't. But yeah, 66. Like it was a really good battle. Honestly, like I think the highlights of this Worlds. It sucks because like the women's side, like the only like really like battles was like 69, 76, 84 plus. We were expecting a big battle, but like Sonita just popped off, right? So and then with 69 and 76, it kind of like ended early. Not ended early, but like Leah and Carlina respectively missing their squats. It's kind of like okay. But this, it was like if story riders exist, like they say in football, I don't know, I don't watch football, but like they ate with this. Like it was like all the lifters in contention were like hitting their lifts, like squat and bench. And then deadlift was like the craziness happened. And Garcia was like in the lead, but then missed his deadlift. And then there were like 3 pulls for the win after him, which just made
it's like a meal. It's like a meal in the 93s.
Right. And then it ended off like perfectly with like Kasim San just like he wasn't the last deadlift because I think it was Clifton Foe who tried to pull for I was about to say pull for the win, pull a world record, but like Kasim Sen was the last of those 4 lifters in content, and like Joe Jordan like even like pulling for third, right? But like Kasim Sen was the last of those, and then he pulled for the win, and it was like the crowd goes crazy. Like I saw Ishtiak's story where he said like and this was the class that stopped the sweep too, right? Or at least the first one.
Fuck, everybody was like so like on us about that,
right?
Like,
and I wasn't there, like I couldn't feel like the crowd.
It was different. It was way different.
Yeah.
Wait, like, as bad as it was, imagine the 66 that had won and we lost the sweep.
Oh, that would have been so bad.
That would have been if that was like, the only one.
Yeah, but like
would have gone crazy.
Yeah, back to 66. Like Ishtiak had made a really funny story post. Like he said, like just the way that like you couldn't have written the battle better. Like Jonathan's the first out. He's in the lead still, but he misses, but he's still in the lead. So it's like, okay, each one has to come out, pull for the win. And Ishak had said that like Hannah came out, like the crowd was French. Kyoto came out, the crowd was Japanese. Castleson came out, the crowd was Thai, like just like going crazy, like the US versus the world essentially. And like the fact that they all ended up like a podium of 707.5, like it was great. It was really good. Really good way to I think it was just the second day of Worlds too. So like great way to start off the week. Like just a like phenomenal battle.
Yeah, it was it definitely got the coaches on their toes like for the rest of the week for sure. So anyway,
Yeah.
I think that was a good recap, guys. Do you guys have anything else you want to say? RS?
Nah, I think we
that basically covers it at this point.
Yeah, shoot me a DM
what's
if
the
you guys need
saying?
it.
Beat the horse. Like we kind of
Beating the dead horse.
I don't know. Yeah, we're good recap.
I appreciate you guys. I think what you guys are doing is very good, and we need more eyes on the sport and just highlighting these battles. And you guys both run the IG. I mean, we'll talk about that after. I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate
Thank you for
it.
coming on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be some like, I don't know, maybe some crazy stuff that happens, and we'll do it again in the future.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. This was a great post Worlds recap. I don't know if we're still recording.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so shout out to everyone who's still listening at this point. It's probably like 3+ hours in.
If you
Yeah.
made it to the end, I'll do it like my videos. If you made it to the end, where can they give you feedback that they made it to the end?
I don't know.
Just comment.
Just
comment
us.
on this video and
comment on this video. Let us know you made it to the end. All right, guys. Peace.